So finally we are here. 5 tests, Panchsutra. Certainly they may have been very, let's say that, challenging experience for you, because questions we have kept a bit difficult level, or we can say moderate difficult, but certainly challenging. And they may have helped you a lot. This is how we hope, especially in terms of, as what I say, that helping you achieve perfection in decision making. So we have to move towards that. Now 15 days are left, and you need to focus on whatever, let's say, things you may be lacking, missing, and trying to revise properly. That is what we can say. So let's take the discussion, then we'll talk anything related to what in 15 days one can do. So after discussion of this polity section, we'll talk on this. So the first question, a bit we have tried to make it applied in nature. Recently, this is how. So you know that the first question is related to unlawful act, prevention of unlawful act. This prevention of unlawful act, under that act you should know that any person can be detained maximum 180 days, and it is cognizable non-bailable offense, you know that. So generally in that case bail is not granted, and since it is a harsh law, so the investigating agency or the agency which arrests people, so they do not convey also their grounds of arrest. Recently Supreme Court in one such case has told that no, it will be like any ordinary law, that you have to convey in written grounds of arrest. In written you have to convey grounds of arrest, and that is how in UAPA law also. So then we have to see that which law deals with grounds of arrest, which law can deal. Certainly Article 19 does not deal with this. Article 20, so it deals with, let's say, ex post facto law, act of double jeopardy, you can say. So it is also a not law which deals with arrest. Article 21 also does not deal with arrest, because it is related to protection of life and liberty. So it is Article 22 which deals with preventive and punitive detention. And it is that article, let's say, even if you do not know the details of this statement, but by this you can eliminate. In prelims we are not bothered about what exactly was the answer, why it was the answer. Rather we have to qualify, but yes, you have to know now that under UAPA law also, investigating agencies or police have to tell to those who are arrested about grounds of arrest. This. Then this National Human Rights Commission. Now in case of National Human Rights Commission, so these are factual statements. If you see, so the factual statement, if you see on that, so first it says that sitting Chief Justice of a High Court cannot be appointed. But the law, Human Protection of Human Rights Act, does not provide this. Even a sitting judge can become also member of Human Rights Commission. So statement 1 is not right. It is incorrect. It is incorrect, we can say. Chairperson and members, it is correct statement. Then it can intervene in any proceedings. This involving any allegation of violation of human, yes, right pending, it is statement 3 is correct. The function related to human rights in the case of all union territories are dealt by the commission. Now let's say that it is, here you have to understand that as per Protection of Human Rights Act 1993, Union territories related matters can be even assigned to State Human Rights Commission. That is done under Section 12 of Protection of Human Rights Act. and except Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh and NCT Delhi, which are dealt by National Human Rights Commission. In other union territories case, State Human Rights Commission can have jurisdiction. So, in this case also you know that statement. So, this statement, let's say, so this statement is incorrect. This you can say. This statement is incorrect. So, correct statement, this, and in that way option B will become correct one. This. Now, it is related to Chief Election Commissioner and Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners. So, recently you know that the Government of India has introduced a new service conditions 2023. So, we have to see according to that what are those service conditions. So, first statement, let's say that they shall be appointed by the President from amongst the members holding this. Now, they have introduced a ground is called that they are given status. Their rank has been given status to, means the rank has been given equivalent to Secretary to Government of India. This. It was also a matter of criticism that election commissioners can be considered as senior rather than Secretary to Government of India. So, it was in news also. So, it is correct statement you can consider. Then search committee headed by Union Home Minister. So, you know that you should know it is a factual statement. Search committee is headed by Minister of Law and Justice. It means it is not correct. Then they shall be appointed by President, it is correct, on the recommendation of selection committee, which should consist of, let's say, Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and, let's say, Union Home Minister. So, this is also incorrect because Union Home Minister is not the person, rather a cabinet rank minister will be appointed. So, statement 3 is also correct, means incorrect. Then selection committee means the selection committee can also consider any other such person who has not been recommended by the search committee. It is also correct. Yes. It means you have to clearly know, or you should know since it was in news, etc. And you have right to know this is how all those developments which have happened in recent times, especially in last 1 year you can say, plus even past years which are important, you have to know their factuality. This, and on the basis of that we can say, so correct option will be considered B. Next, equality before law. So again it is a question based on your understanding. You have to see the best describes best equality before law. So it is about absence of any privilege. If you read, this is how it is said. The best description is called absence of any privilege in favor of any individual. This, when you read right to equality before law, let's say that equality you can say. Equality has two components. This is called equality, let's say before law, and let's say that equal protection of law. This, the equality before law is related to this absence of any privilege. It is correct statement. Why? Because other three statements are not correct. Like say equal treatment of people in equal circumstances. So it is related to this one. Second option B is related to this, and uniform application of law in all circumstances. This again, let's say equal should be treated equally, unequal should be treated unequally. So there is no such situation ki, let's say ki law in all circumstances. We have exceptions, let's say that. So this may not be, let's say that ki appropriate statement. An absence of any arbitrary discrimination by the laws. It is also close to, let's say, this statement. It is less appropriate, although it is also correct. Yes, but question is not asking correct. This you should know that. It is not asking that which option is correct, rather it is asking that best describes. In case of best describes, this is how we can consider, and that is how option A will go by this question. So option A will be considered correct for this question. Now it is a mind game, so a bit innovative question we can say. The mind game that whether 43, which deals with, let's say, equal and just wages, human condition of work, industries, let's say cooperatives, that kind. So it is related to this. So it matches with basically, let's say, khadi and village industry. It comes under the provision of this. It matches with this. Now article, let's say this is related to education. So there is no any option in this which is related to education. You can say that. It is not correctly matched. It is correctly matched. This you can say. Then article 46 is related to taking any special measures for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC. That is how reservation wala, let's say that ki provision related to article 15 and 16. But then it is related to health, and it is, let's say, related to health, so it is not correctly matched for this also. This, and then 47 is related to health, nutrition. This is how it is related to nutritional aspect, health aspect, which will include also because it is related to improvement of health of the people. So it is correctly matched. So if you go by this, see, this is how we have tried to bring policies, and policies we have tried to match with the articles. It is a mind game for you, and you should have applied your mind in this. And by this way, let's say two statements are correct. So correct option will be considered this in this question. Now, in this question, let's say that what it talks. So any civil or judicial authority that fails to comply with any Supreme Court directive may face contempt of court. This. So it is talking that civil or judicial authority which fails to comply directives, let's say if Supreme Court gives any directive, so if it does not obey that directive, so then Supreme Court can invoke contempt provision, contempt of court can be. Then next statement is, it is a correct statement, it is considered as correct statement. This, the Constitution of India mandates civil and judicial authorities in the territory of India to act in aid of the Supreme Court. It is a provision as per Article 144. This. It is mentioned, it is the, let's say that it is direct statement from Article 144. So this is also correct. This is also correct. Since it is factual statement, so you have to have knowledge about that. Why it is correct? So this is how it is a factual statement. It is mentioned that this statement, if you take second statement, the Constitution has mandated civil, which can be related to, let's say, any government institution, like say recently the State Bank of India and Election Commission, electoral bond, and State Bank of India, if it fails to provide data to Supreme Court, if it seeks, it is a civil authority, and then Supreme Court, let's say the Supreme Court even threatened for contempt. The same thing with Election Commission of India, because both will come as civil authority as per the definition of state under Article 12. And this is correct statement. And then let's say that this is the effect you can consider of this. They have to work in the aid of the Supreme Court. Aid of the Supreme Court means this is how, if Supreme Court needs any statement, any document, anything, any record, so they will have to produce that. And in this context you can consider this statement is correct, and it can be considered as a correct, let's say this is a correct, and statement second is the correct explanation of statement 1, you can say this. It is because of this Supreme Court can take action. So option in this will be this 34. This is how. So in 34, correct option is A. Now, interim budget case, let's say. So it is related to interim budget and election years, let's say. In election year, generally you will find that interim budget is passed. Now, Indian Constitution necessitates an interim budget during an election year. So, you should know that in this case, Indian Constitution, do you think that Indian Constitution provides anything related to budget, interim budget term? It does not mention anything related to interim budget. This Indian Constitution, it does not mention anything related to interim budget. So, in this case, this will not be considered as correct statement. This budget related provision, you know that, is dealt by Article 1112, which talks about annual financial statement. It deals with only annual financial statement. It does not say that whether it is interim budget, it is general budget. We tell all these things, not the Constitution of India. In the language of Constitution of India, budget is known as annual financial statement. Now, it serves as a temporary spending. Yes, temporary it is. So, it can be considered as correct statement. Now, unlike regular budget, this interim budget is passed only in Lok Sabha. Again, it is incorrect because let's say that budget is nothing but an appropriation bill. It is nothing but an appropriation bill. And any, let's say, appropriation bill is also a money bill. So, do you think that, have you read in polity paper that a particular type of bill is introduced only in Lok Sabha because it is emergency time or it is something exception? There is no any such provision. So, by that also if you apply common sense, so statement 3 is incorrect, statement 1 is incorrect, then second statement will be considered correct. It means only one. So, this option will be considered correct. Now, delimitation commissions, it is a bit, let's say, by language of the statement in this question. So, the language of the statement can, let's say, trouble you. Trouble in the sense that the president constitutes, yes, he constitutes, this is how after each census, delimitation commission. Now, the second part of the census for fixing the number of seats, let's say that. So, for fixing the number of seats is not basically an appropriate term. Rather, delimitation commission is constituted for two things. One, readjustment of the seats after each census, and readjustment, this readjustment is done on the basis of, let's say, review of population, changes in population, total number of seats, and then accordingly delimitation is done. The seats are reviewed and then delimitation is done. Means, let's say one territory, one constituency can be reduced, another constituency can be increased, two constituencies may be merged because population may have decreased. So, first it reviews constituencies and second, let's say that it reviews number of seats, but fixing is the end result, you can say. Rather, it does not fix, rather it is an end result, and it cannot be done by delimitation commission unless it is empowered by the parliament. Like say that for the first three census, it was empowered to review the number of seats, but in, let's say that by 84 Amendment Act, so we introduced 84th Amendment Act, and by 84th Amendment Act, total number of seats have been fixed till 2026. So, a delimitation commission will not try to fix that. So, there is a problem in the statement, and in this, hence this statement is not correct. And once this statement, first statement is not correct, you don't have to read any other thing. Rather, directly you have to come to D option. It is incorrect, statement is correct, means Constitution provides for number of seats in Lok Sabha. Yes, it is mentioned in the Constitution. If you read, the Constitution provides, it is correct statement, and let's say it is incorrect statement. Hence, let's say that if you go by this, the option D will be considered correct choice. Now, it is another common sense. If you apply your common sense, you will be able to solve it. Let's take that it is about Deputy Chief Minister. So do we have any provision in, let's say, about Deputy Chief Minister? How we get it? So let's take first statement. A person who holds the office must be an MLA at any given point of time, let's say. So is it like that? So you know that any person, any citizen can become minister, prime minister, deputy chief minister, provided he is qualified to become member of that house. Means when someone is appointed as minister, prime minister, deputy chief minister, that time it is not necessary that that person is member of that house. Rather, within 6 months the person should become member. This is how the criteria means. For 6 months a person who is citizen qualified to become member of that house can become a member without becoming actual, let's say, member. Means can be appointed as minister, prime minister, deputy chief minister without being member of that house. The criteria is within 6 months that person, minister or deputy chief minister, has to become member. It means it is not necessary criteria and hence it is not right. Then Constitution does not have any provision for the appointment of deputy chief minister. Yes, it is not dealt by Constitution. Constitution does not deal all these details. Constitution has very limited details. Even it does not deal directly with appointment of prime minister. Rather, it deals with council of ministers headed by prime minister, council of ministers headed by chief minister, and to aid and advise president. This, or let's say chief minister, prime minister, and their advice, president appoints ministers and they hold, let's say, their position power during the pleasure of president. So it does not give detail that whether prime minister, this is how the statement, that deputy chief minister, deputy prime minister, it does not give details. And deputy chief minister enjoy the status of cabinet minister. Yes, you should know that since deputy chief minister is considered as a senior, certainly a junior minister will not be appointed. A minister who does not have a cabinet rank status cannot be appointed as deputy chief minister, because deputy chief minister is not considered subordinate to chief minister as per the Supreme Court interpretation. It means he should be of a cabinet rank. So it means this is correct statement. Sorry, Constitution does not provide, so it will be also correct statement. This, it will be also considered as correct statement. Constitution does not have any provision. Yes, it is correct. It is correct. It means option B will have this. So it will be, basically you know that these details related to council of ministers, their hierarchy, their rank, status, power, privileges, all these things are provided by, it is called Government of India, allocation of business rules, 1961, same thing, transaction of business rules, 1961, and states have also the same. States have also similar, let's say that rules, and they decide the hierarchy, status, power, perk, privilege, all these things rather than Constitution of India. But it has the backup of Constitution of India, like Article 77. According to that, it is done by the President. It says that President can formulate rules for the convenient transaction of business of the government. Then ex parte, let's say ex parte injunction you can consider. So ex parte injunction is an instrument, let's say, which court permit, or let's say that bars someone for any action, let's say that injunction we can consider. Ex parte injunction is basically related to, let's say, कि court in case of emergency situation, it issued this without hearing the other party. It is, let's say, a factual question that we have asked based on recent development. So it is this statement which is correct one. Other are not related to ex parte injunction. And detail you can read that. It is a factual question, what to explain much about this. Then let's say that Prevention of Money Laundering Act does not explicitly define crime. It is incorrect. How Act will not define, let's say that, about money laundering. So it is incorrect. Law provides for the confiscation of property. Yes, it is correct. And law does not contain any provision for granting bail. Let's say that. So it is not correct statement. So law, this is how recently this issue is going on. So law provides for confiscation. It is correct statement. The law does not provide. It is incorrect statement. So you'll find that recent times Kejriwal ji has been given bail on that. So law does have provision related to granting bail, and that is dealt by, I think, section 35. There is, let's say that section 35 and clause 2 related provision, I guess, it deals with that. Or clause 1, let's say that. So it is not like it means, let's take that details, we don't know this. It is as per section 35, bails are granted. It does have provision related to bails. This you can see. You can see in explanation some details related to what are those criterias. Then another law that we have asked, and another law is related to, let's say, maintenance legislation dealing with drug. Its main, let's say that, yes, it is the main legislation that deals with drugs and trafficking. Yes, you can say, and their trafficking, let's say, drugs and their trafficking. It is correct. All the offenses are non-available. It is, yes, it is also correct statement. Then Central Bureau of Narcotics is the nodal agency. So it is not, let's say that, you can consider. It is not Central Bureau of Narcotics. So it is a bit, let's say, a tricky question, you can say. Central Bureau of Narcotics is not the agency. Rather, let's say that its name is Bureau of Narcotics Control, I guess. That agency is responsible. That agency is the nodal agency we can consider, which is responsible. And it became in news, it came in news. Generally, you'll find that you had this drug case related to one popular actor's son. So Drug Control Bureau, I guess, this Bureau of Narcotics Control, I guess, a bit I am getting, its name is different. It means, see, this statement 1, statement 2, let's say option B will be considered correct. This comes under control of Ministry of Finance, and it is related to basically opium cultivation. Central Bureau of Narcotics. Central Bureau of Narcotics deals with cultivation of opiums and, let's say that, giving licenses to manufacturers of opium and others related things, drug manufacturing related. So it gives licenses and regulate cultivation, and it comes under Ministry of Finance. But Bureau of Narcotics Control, I think, it comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. And it is the main agency to deal against this law. Hence, this statement 3 is not correct. It is not correct, so we'll go by this option. Now, this is question based on, let's say that, recent developments which have happened. it needs, let's say that, a bit of common sense to apply plus a bit of knowledge. The right to privacy and readiness is also applicable to prisoners and convicts. Yes, it is applicable. You should know that he convicts, those who are the convicts, right, prisoners and convicts, they have, let's say that, natural rights. Natural rights they also enjoy. And natural rights include, let's say, privacy also, some access to food, water, shelter, this you can consider. So even if they are prisoners and convicts, it does apply, you can say this way. Or let's say Supreme Court has told in one such case, let's say Challa Ram Krishnan Reddy. The Supreme Court told in this case about this, they enjoy their privacy right. Same thing, let's say that there are cases in which this is also related, right to healthy environment, as they enjoy their this right. And same thing, let's say CCTV cameras. The Supreme Court has given time to time emphasis on CCTV cameras so that we can have proper vigilance, surveillance, and which can help in security. Because you know that there are two aspects, rights versus order, you can say. Rights versus lawfulness, you can consider. Stability and order. The CCTV camera goes in terms of establishing rule of law, order in the prison, and let's say that the first two go in terms of related to their rights. The first two statements are correct. This statement is not correct. Hence, option B. Now, it is also a statement which you have to find the most suitable, let's say, suitable statement or the superior virtue of panchayat system lies in the fact that basically you have to find out the most suitable or most appropriate statement related to Panchayati Raj system. Let's read first one. It makes the elected representatives accountable to people. But in any way, let's say even you find that elected representatives are accountable to people in terms of legislature, you can say Lok Sabha, in terms of assembly also. So it will not be considered as the best description. It gives local bodies complete autonomy to mobilize financial resources. It is correct, but it focuses on only one aspect of the question. The narrow, let's say that. So this will be also not considered appropriate. It allows people to participate in decision making on developmental activities, you can say. This. So, this, let's say that make a bit broader. If you see in the first two statement, it is broader statement. Let's read the fourth one so that we can see which one the broadest. It provides socio-economic development opportunity to underprivileged section. So underprivileged sections, again it is narrow, let's say that. It is narrow statement and it is also narrow statement. This, it is also not, let's say, clear. It means option C is the most appropriate and that should be the answer, let's say that. And that is how, so even you have no knowledge, still you can solve if you apply your mind related to the aims and objectives or rationales or role and functions of Panchayati Raj institutions. So, then let's take that, consider the following statements related to constitutional amendment bill. All the four statements are correct. This, so option will be, let's say, D here. Any constitutional amendment bill, so it can be introduced by a private member. Yes, constitutional amendment bill can be introduced by private member. It is correct statement. Then it says the president can neither withhold his assent. Yes, you should know that. That was done by 24th Amendment Act. The government introduced 24th Amendment Act, and by 24th Amendment Act, the veto power of president was taken away. President has only one power, and that once constitutional amendment bill is passed by both houses, president is bound to give his sanction, cannot withhold, cannot send it back, and cannot, let's say that, keep the bill lying on his table. That is called pocket veto. So this we can say. So therefore, let's say that this president can neither withhold his assent to the bill nor return the bill. So it is correct. It is correct. President does not enjoy veto power. Yes, it is correct as it was done by 24th Amendment Act. And there cannot be a joint sitting. Yes, constitutional amendment bill is like ordinary bill, and then since it is an ordinary bill, so either house it can be introduced and either house can reject also. Therefore, it is also correct statement. So option, this is how can say D. D will be considered as correct answer. Then we have tried to ask state, let's say that. So you should know that the definition of a state is given under Article 12, talks about a state, and in that, let's say, definition of a state, it has used four terms. Four terms. One, union government and parliament, state government and legislature, local authority and any other authority. So local authority and any other authorities. So it does not have clearly, let's say, specified or mentioned the term related to judiciary. And let's say that regulatory institutions, so they came later on, so it is not mentioned. This you can say. So it is also not mentioned. Non-profit bodies not mentioned. The only body mentioned is this. Now question you have to see, it is negative, this. The negative, we say positive, we have to see. So one question from polity section we have asked like this, that we have to find out which of the following are not correct, let's say that. So incorrect we will find, the incorrect will be 1, 2 and 3. So if it is saying which of the following, let's say, have not been explicitly mentioned, they have not been explicitly mentioned. Then if how many of the above are correct हमें बताना होता, if you have to tell about correct one, then we should go by C. But it is saying also incorrect. इसमें incorrect, let's say that. So when we go by, let's say that incorrect, let's say how many of the, let's say, above are incorrect. So there are, let's say that we'll find this. So they are correct, let's say that, when we say that they are correct as per the statement, incorrect is only 1, and that is how this option A, the option A will be considered appropriate one. Yes. So it is confusing by not and incorrect. That is how you have to see. So this way at least a question is asked so that you are also habitual to solve such types of questions. And the last one, is, let's say, so let me tell about this, that as per Article 1 to 4 and its evolution, when we have to admit any new territory or cede any new territory, Supreme Court in Berry Union case gave clarification that if government wants to admit any new territory or cede any territory, then constitutional amendment will be needed. Since government was ceding Berry Union, the 9th Amendment was carried out. At the same time, you should know that Supreme Court also clarified that in case of controversial territories, suppose government wants to solve, in that case, amendment was not needed and executive order will do. But this question is related to, let's say that admitting any new territory or ceding any new territory needs constitutional amendment, not second one, and hence correct option will be A. And that is how we can consider. And that is how end of our polity section, and hope that although at times we have asked questions belong to the same topics, you know that, but the purpose is again to enhance your knowledge, your understanding, and let's say that brainstorm you, somehow it is like a strike in your mind such types of facts, such types of thinking, and hope we could have done enough in that, let's say 5 tests that could have helped you in improvement, and let's say that your preparation strategy may have changed, and you may have tried to improve yourself so that you are able to address those questions which can be tricky, which can be factually, let's say, different, which may demand also understanding. Now, as far as 15 days are left, and what should be your strategy? So basically, let's say that you should take a bit sigh of relief. Lots of mocks, we know that nowadays it is a mock culture, and you give lots of mocks. So lots of mocks, lots of tests you have given. Take rest, let's say that. One day you take rest from all these things so that your mind and body is relaxed. You are mentally relaxed. And then you should ponder over that what should be now you should do. Right? What, what exactly you have developed your strength, your weaknesses, your strengths area, let's say that. There you may not need much revision, much, let's say that you can say that focus, but there can be your weak areas. What generally you do mistakes, how, let's say that in those tests you have performed, be it any section, history, geography, polity, science and tech, ecology, current developments, which area you are lagging, and therefore try to focus and improve those areas in these number of days, especially the weak areas, because strong areas you'll carry forward. Once you understand about, let's say that Supreme Court, judiciary, if you know about parliament, etc. So there are some of the concepts, there are some of the topics which once you are clear, so you will have less mistakes in those areas. But there are some areas which demand greater conceptual clarity, greater level of factual knowledge, factual understanding. Like say there are various types of laws which UPSC has been asking. In recent times, that is how UPSC has developed a habit of asking laws, rules, policies. Are you clear? At least once you should try to read all those laws, rules, which we can say at least they are in news and somehow directly, indirectly you come to know. Like Narcotics Act, like let's say you have this called UAPA law, you have let's say Money Laundering Act. So there can be other such acts also. It is not necessary that it is news then UPSC will ask, but most of the time this is how they have done it. So be it any section, ecology, environment, even we ask question related to Disaster Management Act. So all those laws which can be considered important are, let's say government has formulated those laws, you should know them. This is a new type of trend in UPSC that they are asking more and more questions from such laws. Even United Nations conventions also they are asking. So this is what your strategy should be, that you should know the strong areas in UPSC. And are you strong in those areas? And what you can do in these 15 days. There should not be, this is how generally I say, rona dhona, tension, depression, this and that. Go with a free mind. Feel, let's say that free. If your mind will remain free without any tension, then you will be giving your best. The potential you can give your best. If you are in tension, if you have any past, somehow let's say that again and again is striking your mind, the past aspect or the mock tests that you have given, your performance has not been that good, all these things do not matter. One thing matters in examination, how motivated you are, how free you are mentally, and whether you are able to eliminate your silly errors. This is also my, let's say that logic I tell generally. Minimize your silly errors. That will maximize your marks. Because largely what happens that your silly errors, not difficult questions, rather simple questions that you generally make mistakes, and avoid those mistakes, and your marks will be better. Then in 15 days you cannot study any new thing, you cannot do much, this you can say, Rather, you can revise better, sleep better, take rest. That you can do. Relax, be motivated. So, human potential has limitation in this sense that it's not that in 15 days you can, let's say, dig up a tunnel. It's not like that. But you have to understand the advantage of that. What better you can do if you are positive, if you are motivated, if you are free, you will minimize your errors. And minimizing errors means it is an act of perfection in decision making, and that is how the message will give. So, all the best.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. This is Panchsutra Test-5 discussion and my name is Lakshmikant. I will be taking discussion of geography and environment section. So without any delay, let's start the questions one by one. I will discuss them, I will explain all these MCQs briefly. So first of all, let's talk about the geography MCQs, and you may have given the earlier tests also. And we are continuing that trend of asking concept based questions like statement 1, statement 2, like UPSC is asking. Some of the mapping based questions from static as well as current section, and some economic and human geography questions are being asked from resources and industries also. So likewise we have asked, like look at this question. So similar questions have been asked in the past by UPSC, but like assertion and reason type of questions. Despite their location in the similar latitudes, the North Sea records higher salinity while Baltic Sea records lower salinity. So if you have read the oceanography part of your 11th standard NCERT, fundamentals of physical geography, so there you will find these statements and the explanation also. Despite their locations in similar latitude मतलब एक ही latitude पे locations है, North Sea and Baltic Sea. तो यहाँ पर अगर समझो हम North Sea है, तो यहाँ पर कहीं Baltic Sea है, and they are in higher latitude we can say, but North Sea is in open sea. ठीक है, अटलांटिक ओशन का एक मार्जिनल सी हम बोल सकते हैं, एंड बाल्टिक सी इज एनक्लोज सी, right? And what happens here, why North Sea records higher salinity? Because here the North Atlantic drift, the warm ocean current that is coming out of, let's say, Gulf of Mexico, becoming Gulf Stream and thereafter North Atlantic drift, it is bringing warmer and more saline waters to higher latitudes and mixing with North Sea, and that's why it experiences, we can say, higher salinity, while Baltic Sea records lower salinity. Yes, Baltic Sea is enclosed sea, and here there is huge influx of fresh water due to, we can say, melting of ice in these Baltic nations, like we have Finland, Norway, Sweden, all these countries are there. So वहाँ से जो भी पानी melt होके, ice melt होके पानी वहाँ पे mix होता है, the fresh water is getting added, that's why it experiences lower salinity. So first statement was correct, but whether second statement is correct regarding explaining it, North Atlantic drift brings more saline water to the North Sea, while Baltic Sea experiences an influx of, so yes, this is correct, just now I have explained, and that's why statement 2 is explaining the statement 1, the answer will become A here. So in these type of questions, it becomes more challenging when both statements are correct and we have to establish the relation of cause and effect, or we can say that assertion and reason type of relation. So we have to identify that. Most of the time last year what was that ki out of 2 one statement was incorrect, so we have to identify that and mark the correct answer. That becomes question, that makes question easy. Now next, warm currents flows parallel to the east coast of continents in tropical and subtropical. So we have to identify the correct statements here. So we have to remember this by having examples in our mind. कैसे? Warm currents flow parallel to the east coast of the continents in tropical and subtropical. मतलब क्या है? Lower latitudes में. So what we have as an examples of warm ocean currents in the lower, like we have, we can say that Brazilian current. So Brazilian current कहाँ पर है? It is on east coast. Or we can take the example of, we can say, Agula's current, है ना? Agula's current कहाँ पर है? Agula's current is on eastern coast of Africa. So from that we get the idea that in the lower latitude, the tropical and warm ocean currents flow parallel to the east coast of continents. Now, this becomes correct. Now, west coast of continents in the middle and higher latitude are bordered by cold currents. Now, west coast it is talking, and in middle and higher latitude. So, you can take the example of North Atlantic drift, higher latitude we can say, middle and higher latitude and west coast of the continent. But whether it is a cold current? No, it is a warm current. So, in higher latitude, like you can take the example of, we can say other examples also, like we have in Japan, we have Oyashio and Kuroshio currents. तो यहाँ पर जो है warm current है higher latitude में अगर देखोगे तो ये जो है this is incorrect. And exactly opposite, if you talk about the east coast of the continents in middle and higher latitude, then it becomes cold current. Remember the example of Labrador current, east coast of Canada. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से याद रखना है. ठीक है, and if you talk about the tropical and subtropical regions and the west coast, then you remember the Humboldt current. ठीक है, Humboldt current जो west coast of South America है, या फिर west coast of Africa, what we have is Bengula's current. तो इस तरीके से याद रखना है. So second statement is incorrect, first one is correct and answer is. ठीक है, तो कैसे याद रखना है? एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू याद रखना है ये चीज. नेक्स्ट, yes, description based question. We have to identify the type of industry described here, identify the key terms, key information. These industries can be located in a wide variety of places. Very generic statement. They are not dependent on any specific raw material, weight losing or otherwise. So not dependent on raw material, largely depend on component parts which are obtained from anywhere. These are generally non-polluting. Key information, non-polluting industry. Important factor in deciding is accessibility by road network. Road network, this is key information. Okay, not dependent on any specific raw material. So agro-based industry, let's try the elimination method. Agro-based industry largely like sugarcane industry example. It is dependent on raw material, no raw material supply. This is incorrect. Cottage industry, yes, it is dependent on raw material supply. ठीक है, तो ऑफ कोर्स कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री जो है अर्बन एरिया में नहीं होगा, राइट. कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री रूरल एरिया में होता है जहां पे रॉ मटेरियल होता है, स्किल्ड लेबर होता है. तो दिस इज इनकरेक्ट. स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज, सो इफ यू टेक द एग्जांपल ऑफ एमएसएमई, अगेन इट इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन रॉ मटेरियल सप्लाई. ठीक है, तो दिस इज अगेन इनकरेक्ट. ऑल्सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन वी कैन से मार्केट लोकेशन. नाउ फुटलूज इंडस्ट्री, तो ये रिमेनिंग आंसर हो जाता है डायरेक्टली, हम बोल सकते हैं एलिमिनेशन मेथड से. बट फुटलूज इंडस्ट्री इज डिस्क्राइब्ड इन दिस पैराग्राफ एंड एग्जांपल्स ऑफ फुटलूज इंडस्ट्री लाइक वी कैन से दैट वॉच मेकिंग इंडस्ट्रीज और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स इंडस्ट्रीज, और वी कैन टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ डायमंड कटिंग इंडस्ट्री in Surat. So all these are not dependent on raw material supply. They can be let's say located anywhere. They are dependent on its component parts, watch, or we can say this one. They are non-polluting also. ठीक है, इससे pollution as such नहीं होता है किसी भी तरीके का, because there is no burning of fossil fuels or something like that. No pollution of water bodies and all. So D is the correct answer. Remember this. We are expecting question on this industry. ठीक है. Then next is इन एक्सटेंसिव कमर्शियल. अगेन देखिए एनसीईआरटी बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस हमने ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा पूछा है, बट वी वांटेड टू हैव क्लैरिटी ऑफ नॉलेज एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग इवन फ्रॉम एनसीईआरटी. ठीक है, सो एक्सटेंसिव कमर्शियल ग्रेन कल्टिवेशन. सो दिस टाइप ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर वेयर इट इज प्रैक्टिस्ड बाय क्लियरिंग वी कैन से दैट टेम्परेट ग्रासलैंड्स. दिस टाइप ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर इज बीइंग फॉलोड लाइक स्टेपीज, जैसे यूक्रेन में अगर देखते हैं, रशिया, यूक्रेन, or prairies in USA, velds in South, we can say that Africa, and downs in we can say Australia. So temperate grasslands have been cleared here, and the extensive commercial grain cultivation like for example wheat, barley, or we can say corn, तो उस तरीके से cultivation होता है. Now in this type of cultivation the yield per unit area is high but per unit labor productivity is low. Again we have to read it, this particular statement. ठीक है, तो yield per unit area is high, it is saying. In such kind of cultivation you can see that per unit yield is very low. Although the extensive area is cultivated, but per unit area yield is very low and the per unit labor productivity is very high. Why? Because number of labor involved per unit area is low. and that's why overall labor productivity is very high. So this statement becomes incorrect. उल्टा लिखा हुआ है. In intensive subsistence agriculture, where it is practiced, like we have North Indian plains or even let's say basins of important rivers in China. So here we have intensive subsistence agriculture, like for example paddy cultivation in North Indian plains or Chinese plains. So there is low yield per acre but high yield per person. Now again we have to read it properly. There is low yield per acre. No, there is high yield per acre here क्योंकि intensive है. But high yield per person. No, here we have low yield per person. Why? Because number of people involved here is more. In intensive subsistence agriculture, whole of the family labor is involved, and that's why here we talk about the marginal productivity and all these things. So very low marginal productivity is there. So more people are involved, and that's why low yield per people or person is there. So both statements are incorrect. तो यहाँ पर आंसर क्या होना चाहिए? आंसर विल बी डी, neither one nor two. ठीक है? All right. Next question. Yes. Now, the North Indian plains in India have high population density as compared to other regions. Which of the following can be possible reasons for it? And we have to identify the correct answer here. ठीक है, तो reasons for high population density in North Indian plains. So we learn about that as a part of human and economic geography. Fertile alluvium soil, this is correct, and that's why we have the, we can say intensive agriculture practices there. Most of the area is under cultivation, water is available, high availability of water especially for agriculture and drinking purpose. तो वहाँ पर क्या है? High population density. Along with that, as it is the plain area, so it is easier to construct roads and railways, and that's why more density of roads and railways can be found in North Indian plains. It increases connectivity, and that's why people tend to live in such areas where there is high connectivity, because economic activities can be carried out. So this is correct. Now, high level of literacy. Now, this is problematic. We know that there is low level of literacy, especially take the examples of Bihar, West Bengal, or we can say that even Eastern UP. So, or let's say यहाँ पर जो है literacy aspect नहीं है. Comparatively in southern India, if you talk about Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka, these states have high comparatively literacy rate. Now, location of heavy industries, no. These North Indian plains do not have the mineral resources as such, and that's why location of industry is not there. Location of industry is there in peninsular region, especially in, we can say, eastern states or central states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, where we have mineral resources, rich mineral resources. ठीक है, तो this is again incorrect. So only first three are correct, and answer will be B here. So we have to use such kind of reasoning while attempting such kind of questions. All right. Next, topographies and agents of erosion. Now, although only karst topography and badland topography is mentioned in NCERT, basket of X topography is mentioned in GC Leong. So some of you may have already let's say read GC Leong. तो यहाँ पर से हमें समझ में आना चाहिए, basket of X topography is not because of wind, it is because of glaciers. So when the glaciers are receding, there are several deposits, and these deposits looks like glacial tills. ठीक है, इस तरीके से दिखता है. तो ऊपर से अगर देखोगे, it looks like basket of egg topography. So this is incorrectly matched. Karst topography, we all know it is because of groundwater. This is correctly matched, and it was, let's say, first found in the karst region of, we can say that the Adriatic Sea and adjoining region. तो उसको karst topography नाम दिया गया है. Badland topography is not because of glaciers, it is because of rivers. It is because of rivers. So glaciers से नहीं है. Badland topography, like we have the Chambal and its basin. So in Madhya Pradesh and some parts of Rajasthan, so Morena district अगर आप example लेते हैं, तो चंबल के डाकू काफ़ी famous है ना. So basically these dakus used to hide in these badland topography, ravines of Chambal. right? So that is the example of badland topography, and that is because of rivers. So two pairs are incorrectly matched, one pair is correctly matched, so answer would be A here. All right. Next, in terms of heat budget, look at this question. It is, applied question. We have to understand the heat budget to attempt this question properly, not to remember only facts. Okay. So we learn that from, let's say, climate part of your physical geography 11th standard NCERT. And in that heat budget of the earth, if you talk about the total incoming short wave radiation, तो अगर 100 units पकड़ते हैं total incoming, ठीक है, clouds reflect more radiation to the space as compared to getting scattered by particles in the atmosphere. Now, out of these 100 units falling on the earth's surface or coming into the earth's atmosphere, the clouds reflect back 27% or 27 units back to the space. What about the scattering? All these atmospheric particles, they do scatter, but how much amount of, let's say, we can say that radiation they are scattering, it is less than 27%. Okay, so इससे अगर आप देखोगे तो only 6% it is scattering back into the atmosphere, and remaining 17% it is going towards the earth surface. So total भी आप देखोगे तो it is 23% only, and it is scattering back to the space only 6%. So this statement becomes correct. Now, the atmosphere absorbs more unit of short wave radiation as compared to long wave radiation. Now, out of these 100 units, how many units are absorbed by atmosphere? 14 units. We learned this incoming budget, 14 units. And remaining, we can say that 51% or 51 units are directly absorbed by the earth's surface. ठीक है, या फिर total अगर देखोगे, and that 51% is required to go back into the space along with this 14%, total 65%, 35% already goes back to the space. Out of that 65%, 14% is there in the atmosphere itself. Remaining 51% is going back to the atmosphere. But that, out of that we can say as a long wave radiation, only 6% is absorbed by the atmosphere directly. ठीक है, only 6%. And if you talk about, let's say, short wave radiation, what it is saying, atmosphere absorb more units of short wave radiation as compared to long wave radiation, more units of short wave radiation. तो यहाँ पे देखिए ये 14 units है, but this 6% along with remaining 9 units and 19 units कहाँ से आ रहा है ये? By convection, it is absorbed by the atmosphere only ultimately, and through latent heat of condensation 19%, latent heat of condensation. तो आप देखिए यहाँ पर total करके 28 and 34. Now this is 34 units and this is 14 units. So this becomes incorrect. This becomes incorrect. Out of total long wave radiation emitted by the earth, out of total long wave radiation emitted by the earth, ठीक है, more heat is lost to the atmosphere as latent heat of condensation than absorption by the greenhouse gases. So latent heat of condensation, just now I told you 19 units, and this 6 units is actually absorbed by greenhouse gases and water vapor as a long wave radiation, terrestrial radiation, जिससे हम greenhouse gas in global warming जिसको वजह से हो रहा है. So we can say that this is correct. Two statements are correct, one is incorrect. Answer would be here B now. ठीक है, second statement incorrect है इसमें से. This is how the understanding of the heat budget will help you to attempt such kind of questions. Now a little bit trickier, but this is given in GC Leong. You may not find this information directly in NCERT. The rate of decrease in temperature with increase in altitude is called lapse rate. We know about that, and 6.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer, 1 kilometer or 1000 meter. This is lapse rate, normal lapse rate जिसको हम बोलते हैं. Consider the following statements about the lapse rate. It is usually more in winter than summers. Now, to have more lapse rate, we need to have more warmer temperatures near the ground so that it goes up and immediately cools down because of, we can say that, expansion and adiabatic cooling also. Now, it is usually more in winter than summer. It's other way around. It is more in summer. It is more in summer. During winter, the atmosphere is stable. It promotes atmospheric stability. The wind is coming down. So, the drastic difference in the temperature as we move up in the altitude is not there. As compared to that, in summer, as we move up, the temperature goes on decreasing considerably because of the convection that is happening. ठीक है, तो this is incorrect. It is greater at night than during day. अगर ये concept समझा है तो ये तो easily आ जाएगा आपको. It is more during day as compared to night. ठीक है, तो this is incorrect. It is greater on elevated highlands than on level plains. Now this is trickier. Okay, थोड़ा सा इसमें concept involved है. This is correct. Why? Because it is, let's say, why it is more or greater on elevated highlands? Because elevated highlands are more nearer towards the sun now. So that means it is getting more heated easily. Like take the example of Tibetan Plateau. Tibetan Plateau. तो समर में ये जो है बहुत ज़्यादा हीट हो जाता है. ठीक है, Tibetan Plateau, because it is at height from the sea level, and that's why it is receiving more insolation easily, and it is getting heated more as compared to level plains, and that's why this is correct, we can say. Why? Because if it is getting more heated and when the wind is moving up further, so there will be drastic difference in the temperature when there are, let's say, in two layers of atmosphere. So this statement is correct. So only one statement is correct here. A is the correct answer. All right. Now next is geological monuments and states. So national geological monuments और जियो हेरिटेज साइट्स, इनको हम जियो हेरिटेज साइट्स भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है, yes. So although this is very difficult to remember, but they ask like गंडीकोट्टा कैनियन उन्होंने पूछा था. ठीक है, लैंडफॉर्म. तो वी आर ट्राइंग टू कवर वन, ये एक्सपेक्टेड है बहुत दिनों से क्वेश्चन दे नेशनल जियोलॉजिकल मॉन्यूमेंट्स, एंड वी आर आस्किंग प्रोमिनेंट वंस. एरामट्टी डिबालू. तो एरामट्टी डिबालू इज लोकेटेड नॉट इन तमिलनाडु, इट इज लोकेटेड इन आंध्र प्रदेश, इन अरकू वैली region of Andhra Pradesh. Here basically the red soil layers, it is formed of red soil layers. ठीक है, ऐसे अलग अलग soil के layers बने हुए हैं, वहाँ पर unique kind of landform है. So that's why geological monument. So this is incorrectly matched. Columnar lava at St. Mary Island is very very famous. So here what is happening is the lava is cooled down as vertical columns in coastal area. You can see the photographs we have added in the explanation page. इस तरीके से वो columnar lava बना हुआ है and it is located in Karnataka. ठीक है, this is correct. Shivalik Fossil Park. Now you may get confused here because you may think कि उत्तराखंड में होगा शिवालिक, but it is in Himachal Pradesh. It is in Himachal Pradesh. This is incorrect. So two pairs are incorrect and one pair is correct. So answer would be A here. ठीक है, A is the correct answer. All right. Next. Again about the features or landforms. Krim Liat Pra. The cave of Meghalaya is the longest natural cave in India. This information is a little bit specific information, but caves के ऊपर pending question है geography में. Remember this, and it is very important. Why Mamlu cave was in news, and Bora caves are very famous tourist destination in Andhra Pradesh and perfect example of karst topography in India. And this Liat Pra cave is also very famous in Meghalaya. Mamlu cave is not in Nagaland, it is in Meghalaya. Meghalaya, there are very let's say famous karst topography, we can say features or landforms like these caves. Mamlu cave is listed as UNESCO's one of the first 100 IUGS, International Union Geological Science geological sites in the world. So this is correct, this information is correct, but it is not located in Nagaland, it is located in Meghalaya. This makes this statement incorrect. Bora caves, this is correct, this one is also correct. So we can say answer would be 1 and 2 only. ठीक है, 1 and 2 only. B is the correct answer. We are asking such kind of framing of options because you never know, UPSC may revert back to earlier options. ठीक है, तो हो सकता है इसलिए हमने कुछ कुछ जो है ऑप्शंस पहले के तरीके से भी पूछा हुआ है, राइट? ओके, नेक्स्ट. Yes, again the mapping part correctly matched waterfalls and rivers, right? So waterfalls and rivers very important. Why? Because the पिछले 2-3 साल से नहीं पूछा हुआ है mapping section से waterfalls. So we can expect question. Chitrakoot falls are very famous in Chhattisgarh, but not across Mahanadi river. It is located across Indravati river, which is tributary of Godavari. Indravati river. Okay, so Chitrakoot falls in southern part of छत्तीसगढ़, ठीक है, छत्तीसगढ़ में है ये. Hundru falls are very famous tourist destination, but they are not across Damodar. It is located in Jharkhand near Ranchi, but it is across Subarnarekha river. Hundru falls, ठीक है, Jharkhand. This is incorrectly matched. Now Hoganekkal falls, everyone read about that. It is located in across Kaveri river. When it is just entering into Karnataka, Hoganekkal falls are located located in Karnataka when it is just entering into Tamil Nadu. Hoganekkal falls. Duduma falls, अगर आप mapping करते हैं atlas mapping, you may come across this term location Duduma falls across Machkund river in, we can say, Koraput district of Odisha, in southern part of Odisha. Machkund river, ठीक है, दुदुमा फॉल्स, वहाँ पर जो है एक डैम भी बनाया गया है, मचकुंड रिवर्स. तो दीज टू आर करेक्टली मैच, सो आंसर विल बी बी हियर, ठीक है. सो इम्पोर्टेंट वाटरफॉल्स ऑफ द कंट्री आप तैयार करके रखिए. Consider the following statements about rapeseed and mustard. See, every year they are asking one question from crops, different crops. Like last year they asked Niger seed, ठीक है. उससे पहले उन्होंने लीस्ट वाटर थर्स्टी क्रॉप या इस तरीके से क्वेश्चन पूछा था. हर साल वो क्वेश्चन पूछते क्रॉप से, एंड वी हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. वाइल रेप सीड इज अ खरीफ क्रॉप, मस्टर्ड इज अ रबी क्रॉप. If you read NCERT, rapeseed and rabi mustard, they come together. Basically, they are similar kind of crops and they are rabi crops. ठीक है, they are rabi season crops, not kharif. So this is incorrect. Rapeseed contains about 42% of oil. Mustard contains this much amount of oil. So on an average, rapeseed is having more oil content. We can say this is correct. Now, rapeseed oil is used in manufacturing of greases. This is correct. Mustard oil is used in tanning industry for softening leather. Both are correct about the applications. So C is the correct answer about this. So oil seeds is very important aspect of our economy, agroeconomy. So be prepared with these crops. Which of the following is not a lagoon lake? Like in past they have asked which of the following is not the natural lake, or which of the following is a man-made lake. इस तरीके से क्वेश्चन आए हुए हैं. Salt lake, right? Saline lake. So lagoon lake. So yes, we know about the Chilika lake. We know about the Ashtamudi lake. ठीक है. So Chilika lake ओडिशा में है. Ashtamudi lake केरला में है. एंड दिस कलीवेली लेक ज़्यादातर आपको नहीं पता होगा शायद स्टूडेंट्स को. इट इज़ लोकेटेड इन तमिलनाडु एंड इट इज़ लगून लेक, नॉट पूछा हुआ है. सो कोल्लेरू लेक, इट इज़ फ्रेश वाटर लेक लोकेटेड इन आंध्र प्रदेश बिटवीन डेल्टा ऑफ गोदावरी एंड कृष्णा रिवर. कोल्लेरू लेक. सो डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. इट इज़ नॉट द लगून लेक. ठीक है. Now, which of the following is not part of Damodar Valley Corporation multi-purpose project? Yes, DVC, one of the most important multi-purpose project started after independence, like Damodar Valley Corporation, DVC जिसको हम बोलते हैं. And which projects are involved? So Maithon Dam and Panchet Dam, everyone knows about that. Tilaiya Dam is also there, but Hatia Dam is not part of this DVC. Okay, all these dams, they are in Jharkhand. ठीक है, झारखंड में है. अक्रॉस बराकार रिवर, दामोदर रिवर. बराकार इज ट्रिब्यूटरी ऑफ दामोदर रिवर. ठीक है, तो ऐसे याद रखना है. जस्ट सी ऑल दीज ऑन एटलास, सी द एक्सप्लेनेशन इन डिटेल. So yes, all these are the geography questions. Now without any delay, let's discuss the environment section also one by one, all these questions. So first question about this initiative. So with reference to Sustainable Finance for Tiger Landscape Conference 2024. we have to identify the correct statement about this. Such kind of questions, every year they are asking 1 or 2 questions on international initiatives for environment protection, biodiversity conservation, climate change. Sustainable Finance for Tiger Landscape Conference was held in Bhutan, organized by Bhutanese government and Tiger Conservation Coalition, non-profit coalition. ठीक है, तो look at the first statement, Wildlife Trust of India and Tiger Conservation Coalition. So not Wildlife Trust of India, Bhutanese government, it was hosted in Bhutan. So this is incorrect statement. The mission of this conference is to mobilize funding worth, तो नाम पे ही देखिए ना, सस्टेनेबल फिनांस, तो आपको लग सकता है कि ये फैक्चुअली करेक्ट है, बट फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है. $1 billion, नॉट 100 बिलियन. 100 बिलियन तो हम क्लाइमेट चेंज के लिए कर रहे हैं ना. यू कैन यूज द लॉजिक. फॉर नेक्स्ट 10 years, so this is incorrect factually. So neither 1 nor 2, D is the correct answer here about this. Now, yes, concept based question again. The ozone hole over Antarctic reaches the maximum size during winters in northern hemisphere. When there is winter in northern hemisphere, there will be summer in southern hemisphere. In southern hemisphere, Antarctic is in southern hemisphere. तो समर में जो है मैक्सिमम कैसे हो सकता है, मिनिमम होगा. विंटर में मैक्सिमम होगा ना सदर्न हेमिस्फीयर में, नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर में उस टाइम पे समर होगा. So this is incorrect, we got the answer. Statement 1 is incorrect and D is the correct answer. Look at the statement 2. As the temperature rises in the stratosphere, the size of ozone hole reduces. That is true. During summer in stratosphere there will be higher temperatures, and because of that polar stratospheric clouds will not be formed in stratosphere. So this is, we can say, correct statement, and second statement is correct. So D is the correct answer about this. So ozone hole depletion, we learned that environment and even in geography. In terms of India's biodiversity, especially of Eastern Ghats, when one is crossing or traveling through Eastern Ghats, one would easily spot how many of the above mentioned species. So fishing cat is, we can say that, species of Eastern Ghats, and Indian pangolin Indian subcontinent पे मिलता है, तो one can use that logic. Jordan cursors Eastern Ghats में ज़्यादातर मिलता है. So all 3 species are part of that habitat. So C is the correct answer. Okay. Now, with reference to biodiversity of Indian Ocean, which one of the following species has been observed to remarkably use coral reefs as a tool to kill and feed on its prey? Recently, there was one research in Lakshadweep and its waters, and it has been found that some of the wrasse fish species, we can say, these fish species, they are remarkably using dead or live corals to kill sea urchins. ये क्या करते हैं, sea urchins को corals के ऊपर ऐसे तोड़ देते हैं, and their hard shell, to break their hard shells and eat whatever the bits are there, eatable bits inside. ठीक है, तो ये एक नया हम बोल सकते हैं डिस्कवरी हुआ है, रिसर्च हुआ है. So wrasse fish species, B is the correct answer about this. ठीक है, तो fish and let's say our species and their characteristics, unique characteristics. Which one of the following statement best describes the super pollutants? Okay, now this is unique and you may get confused about this. Look at the options. Super pollutants, क्या होता है super pollutants? The persistent organic pollutants which have been included in Stockholm Convention. The Stockholm Convention is of POP. You may think कि persistent organic pollutants, they are not easily biodegradable, they remain in atmosphere, or they remain in environment, bioaccumulation, biomagnification. आपको लग सकता है super pollutant है, but this is not the super pollutants. Short-lived climate forces such as tropospheric ozone and hydrocarbon which go neglected in the nationally determined let's say contributions of the countries. Now this is very important. Recently there was emphasized by the researchers and experts that whatever the climate change talks are happening, they are largely happening based on CO2 and methane only, to reduce the amount of CO2 and methane only. But some of the short-lived climate forcers like tropospheric ozone, ground level ozone, hydrocarbons, they are also important, we can say, pollutants, जिसको super pollutants बोला गया है. Why? Because they remain in the atmosphere long period of time and they are also harmful, but they are neglected in the nationally determined contribution. ज़्यादातर focus किस पे होता है? Focus CO2 पे ही होता है. So this is the correct answer. Fluorinated gases which are ozone, not only ozone deficient in nature, but have immensely, this is not, or 6 greenhouse gases, this is also not there. So B is the correct answer about this. ठीक है? All right. Next. Yes, how many of the mentioned protected areas are part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve? There was one question that which of the following group of protected areas are part of Agastya Malai Biosphere Reserve? ऐसा क्वेश्चन था एक 3-4 साल पहले आया था. So about the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve also you should be ready with such kind of question. Silent National Park, Kerala. मुदुमलाई वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, जो टाइगर रिजर्व भी है हम बोल सकते हैं, और एलिफेंट रिजर्व भी है. यहाँ पे जो साइलेंट विस्परर्स, जो एलिफेंट्स के ऊपर एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री बना था, ठीक है, नॉट साइलेंट, एलिफेंट विस्परर्स, ये जो डॉक्यूमेंट्री था उसको ऑस्कर मिला था पिछले साल, राइट. सो मुदुमलाई वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, इट इज लोकेटेड इन तमिलनाडु. Then Bandipur Tiger Reserve, it is located in Karnataka. Satyamangalam Wildlife Sanctuary as a part of, we can say, Tamil Nadu. All these are part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So all 4 is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. In addition to that, what we have is Nagarhole National Park in Karnataka also as a part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. ठीक है. Next. 68. Now this is very unique. Mangroves are known for their unique adaptations including vivipary mode of reproduction. Yes, we know about that vivipary mode. Vivipary mode is very unique, we can say, sexual behavior of mangrove species, especially rhizosphere, जिसको हम rhizophorus, जिसको mangrove species बोलते हैं. Here what happens is the ovum is fertilized on parent plant itself. On parent plant itself. This unique behavior is adopted because mangroves are halophytes. That means we can say they live in saline water, brackish water, and grow well in intertidal zones. Because of this, they have this unique adaptation. They have this unique adaptation, and this is how the mangrove species grow in intertidal zones. And that's why answer is A here. Okay, second statement is correct explanation of first statement. Now this is basic from NCERT. How many of the above species bacteria play a role in biological nitrogen fixation? So in nitrogen cycle, we learn about different processes, and first one is atmospheric nitrogen fixation by symbiotic bacteria, free living bacteria. And which are these bacteria? Okay, so we know Anabena is there, Azotobacter is there, even Frankia is there. But what about this Nitrosomonas and Pseudomonas? Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, they are involved in next process, that is nitrification. So Nitrosomonas, ammonia to nitrite, and Nitrobacter is involved in conversion of nitrite to nitrates, because some plants, they are not able to take up nitrite, nitrogen in form of nitrite, so they take up in the form of nitrates. So it is the Nitrobacter. What about Pseudomonas? They are involved in denitrification process. So denitrification means what? Conversion of nitrates and nitrites into, we can say, free atmospheric nitrogen. Free atmospheric nitrogen. So only 3 here are nitrogen fixing bacteria, we can say. B is the correct answer. Next, about the legal aspect or environmental law, how many of the above mentioned functionaries discharge duties or responsibilities assigned under Forest Conservation Act 1980? Now this is a different question. स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजंस नहीं पूछा है, रोल्स एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज पूछा हुआ है. So Forest Conservation Act 1980 talks about the conservation of forest. So of course principal chief conservation of forest will be involved here. Our forest advisory committee is set up under the provisions of this act to check any kind of, let's say, arbitrary diversion of forest area for non-forest purpose. But chief wildlife warden is the authority under, we can say that, or given responsibility under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Like all the protected areas, wildlife sanctuaries, national park, उससे related इनको duties है. So first two are, we can say that, under Forest Conservation Act. So B is the correct answer here. Next. Minamata Convention bans the use of mercury in cosmetics with effect from 2025. Recently, there was a meeting of Minamata Convention, parties to Minamata Convention. They have agreed that the use of mercury in cosmetics will be banned from 2025 onwards. So this was, let's say, decision of this meeting. So this is correct statement. Mercury, why? Reason is mercury widely used in skin whitening creams can damage the kidneys in humans. Now this is the health effect, we can say harmful effect of use of mercury in the cosmetic products. So both statements are correct, and second statement is correct explanation of statement 1. So A is the correct answer here. A is the correct answer. Next, with reference to adaptation behavior of animals, torpor can be generally observed in. Now what is torpor? We learn about hibernation, like during winter they go sleep, ठीक है, like Himalayan brown bear, ठीक है, polar bears, hibernation very common. Then there is estivation, some of the reptiles, or we can say fish species also, during summer they go to deep sleep, estivation. And in earlier, let's say, test, we also talked about brumation by reptiles and amphibians, ठीक है, brumation जो होता है. So it is temporary, we can say, comparatively during winter. Temporary होता है, तो 6 महीने के लिए या months के लिए नहीं होता है, 2-3 के लिए या 1 हफ्ते के लिए ऐसे होता है. Or they can come back, let's say, drink water and then again go back to deep sleep, इस तरीके से. But this torpor is during winter by certain species like birds, mammals and fish, ठीक है, birds, mammals and fish, torpor. तो इसमें यूनिक क्या है? यूनिक ये है कि ये टेम्पररी 1 या 2 दिन के लिए है. Like for example, if you talk about the birds, तो hummingbirds show such kind of behavior. In mammals, marsupials, and in some of the, let's say, higher latitude ponds जो freeze हो जाता है, तो वहाँ के जो pond fish होता है, they also show such kind of behavior, but not birds or reptiles. So B is the correct answer. So torpor, remember hibernation, estivation, brumation, torpor, we have covered all this. Any question that is asked in prelims, you should be able to now solve this. Next, yes, about this initiative of trees outside forests in India initiative. This was launched in 2022 by Union Ministry of Environment in India along with the US Agency for International Development, USAID. This is correct. The trees outside forest include the patches of 1 hectare and above located outside the recorded forest area. This is also correct, we can say. Now, the trees outside forest India initiative will be implemented throughout the country, including island territories. This is incorrect, not throughout the country. It is being implemented only in 7 states, selected states. This will promote agroforestry. Okay, agroforestry will get further boost with the implementation of this initiative. So trees outside forest in India, this will promote the tree conservation, forest conservation, that is outside the recorded forest or reserve forest, protected forest. So only 1 statement is incorrect and 3 are correct here. So C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Okay? Then biodegradable plastics. Yes. So recently, the central government through notification has clarified the definition of biodegradable plastic, because in the name of biodegradable plastic, let's say the companies are selling on online platform different kinds of plastic which are not totally biodegradable, and the new definition talks about the constitute those plastic which can degrade naturally in landfills without any trace of microplastic left behind. Without any trace, this is the new definition. Okay, इसलिए ये statement में लिखा हुआ है, this is correct. Now what are microplastic? Microplastics are very harmful as they penetrate into blood streams and lungs of humans. Microplastics can be directly released into the environment through different products, or the plastic can degrade into small particles as a part of microplastics. So both statements are correct here. C is the correct answer. The microplastic pollution, especially in rivers, गंगा में देखा जाए तो बहुत ज़्यादा रिवर माइक्रोप्लास्टिक पोल्यूशन हुआ है, रिसेंट स्टडी हुआ है, एंड ओशंस में सबसे ज़्यादा माइक्रोप्लास्टिक पोल्यूशन है, एंड दैट इज बिकमिंग वेरी हार्मफुल फॉर मरीन इकोलॉजी. नेक्स्ट एंड लास्ट क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम एनवायरमेंट. यस, which one of the following is the most important reason behind exceptionally high biodiversity harbored in islands? The best example biodiversity hotspot is Galapagos Islands. ठीक है, Galapagos Island off the coast of we can say जैसे पेरू या फिर आप जो साउथ अमेरिका का वेस्टर्न कोस्ट है, वहाँ पे ये गैलापागोस आइलैंड है, बायोडायवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट है. इंडिया में अगर देखोगे अंडमान एंड निकोबार आइलैंड्स, सो वेरी हाई लेवल ऑफ बायोडायवर्सिटी देयर. So why more biodiversity is there in islands? It is because of species richness that is developed over the period of time. So what is species richness? In terms of types of biodiversity, we learn about the species diversity, and that is measured in terms of species richness and species evenness. Okay, so species richness is basically in particular area how many more number of species, different number of species are present in the same habitat. And species evenness is among these number of species, the number of population of all different we can say species and their proportion, that is evenness. ठीक है, तो species richness, the area of island and its isolation from mainland influence the species richness. ठीक है, तो isolation from the mainland, it is important. Why? Because when there is it is connected to mainland, there is huge area available for migration from one place to other place, and there can be diversion. ठीक है, तो that becomes we can say the limited we can say force for speciation. But when there is no geographical area available, so there can be more speciation. Why? Because the less the habitat, the species will be forced to have we can say that the new niche. Okay, new niche, or we can say their food habits. जैसे अगर गैलापागोस आइलैंड्स या अलग अलग आइलैंड्स पे देखा, आप बर्ड्स की डाइवर्सिटी दिखाई देती है. Why? Because the food is limited. If all the species are dependent on same food, the food will be exhausted and all will die. And this is how there is morphological adaptations, or we can say that new kind of species evolve over the period of time with the new niche area, or we can say that they have the different kinds of food habits. और उससे क्या होता है, अब बैलेंस बना रहता है. And this is how the species richness is there in island territories. ठीक है, तो D is the correct answer. So all these are geography and environment question. If you have any question or query about this, you can ask in the comment box of this video and we will try to address it. Fine. So best of luck to all of you for final examination. Be confident about whatever the preparation you have done. Trust yourself, trust your knowledge, trust your preparation, and give your 100% in those 2 hours. Fine. Best of luck. Thank you.
Hello dear students. Today we are going to have the discussion for our last test in Panchsutra series, that is test number 5. So I am R.S. Chauhan. I will be discussing 15 questions which are there in the test from history and culture section. So we will be discussing question number 21 to 25, 56 to 60 and 76 to 80 They are related to history and culture. So the first question, 21st question. Here a statement or paragraph is given and you have to identify that this is most related to which of the following options in the form of ancient cities given over here. So let us see what the paragraph says. This city located near Tungabhadra river. Tungabhadra river flows from Karnataka, has been described by UNESCO as an austere, grandiose site. It's a very grand site, a site known for its uniqueness, of more than 1600 surviving remains of last great Hindu kingdom in South India. So there are 1600 remains in the form of temples and other structures, and they belong to the last great Hindu kingdom in South India. So when you read this statement, you should be aware that last great Hindu kingdom in South India was Vijayanagara Empire, right? That includes forts, riverside features, royal and sacred complexes, temples, shrines, pillared halls, mandapas, memorial structures, water structures, and others. So even without looking at options, it must strike your mind that this could be the city of Vijayanagara Empire. Vijayanagara Empire had 5 cities which served as its capital, but the most important one known for these structures, which are also included in the UNESCO World Heritage Site, are Hampi. So among these ancient cities, Mysuru, Hampi, Badami and Pattadakal, it applies to Hampi, right? Before, Badami was the capital of Chalukyas. Pattadakal is an important site in South India from historical point of view. Mysuru is the successor state formed after the disintegration of Vijayanagara Empire, ruled by the Wodeyar dynasty, and later their general Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan, right? Now we go to the next question, question number 22. The 22nd question is a very straight question. It is about Buddhism. With reference to Buddhism, Bodhisattva, Akash Garb denotes. So we must know the concept of Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is a deity or personality who has withheld his journey towards enlightenment just in order to help others to reach that stage. And there are many Bodhisattvas in Buddhist tradition. One of them is Akash Garb. Now, he resembles which one of them? Which option is correct? We have to identify. So, Akash word says it is all about infinity. So, you must easily able to guess what could be the right option. If you know beforehand, it's good. If you do not know, intelligent guess can definitely help in identifying the right, option. So, Bodhisattva of infinite happiness is related to Akash Garb. Compassion, Maitreya Buddha, who is said to be the maybe successor of Lord Buddha. Then Bodhisattva of great vows, Bodhisattva of wisdom. There are different Bodhisattvas. Many of them has been explained in the handout which will be given to you. So read in detail from there. Now we go to 23rd question. So the 23rd question is related to Jainism. With reference to the literature of Jainism. So here the question is related to literature of Jainism. Jainism literature means religious literature, canonical literature. Consider the following statements. So there are 2 statements given and we have to identify which of these statements is or are correct based on the options given. So let us see. Tattvartha Sutra, a sacred book of Jainism, consists of the teachings of Lord Mahavir that were methodically compiled by his disciples. Is it correct? See, you should know that teachings of Lord Mahavir are compiled and organized into Jaina canonical literature called Agamas. Tattvartha Sutra is also one of the scriptures related to Jainism, but it is not including the teachings of Lord Mahavir. Therefore, the statement becomes wrong. Now let us see the second statement. Jaina canonical literature was finally compiled at the Council of Vallabhi, presided over by Devaridhi Kshama around 512 CE. Is that statement correct? If you know, then it will hit your head that in ancient times 2 Jaina councils were organized. The first one was organized most probably in Patliputra, and that was a time when first division in Jainism took place in the form of 2 sects, Digambar and Shwetambar. The second was organized when the Matrakas were ruling from Vallavi in Gujarat. Vallavi emerged as an important center of trade and commerce and center of religious importance for the Jainas. It was also an important center of education. The second Jaina council was organized simultaneously at Mathura and Vallavi. Here, the final compilation of Jaina canonical literature in the form of Angas and Upangas was done, and the president was Devariddhi Kshama, and the time period is approximately 512 CE. Therefore, this is correct. So, the answer will be 2 only. B is the answer of the question number 23. Now, we go to 24th question. In this question, we have to pay attention to the medieval period where there is an interregnum. The Mughal Empire the Mughal dynasty was established in India by Babur. He was succeeded by Humayun, but Humayun was defeated and compelled to leave India by Sher Shah Suri. So, there is a brief interregnum of 15 years where Suri dynasty is ruling in India, and 5 years are first ruled by Sher Shah Suri. In that short period of time, Sher Shah Suri made big contributions in different fields of administration and efficiency in trade, commerce, etc., or maintenance of law and order. So, let us see what this question says. With reference to Sher Shah's administration, consider the following statements. 3 statements are given and we have to identify how many of them are correct. Options are given here. So, let us see. He divided his empire into 12 subhas that were further subdivided into sarkars and parganas. From its face value, this question might appear or sound correct, but you have to be very careful. The concept of subha comes into picture during the Mughal period, not during the times of Sher Shah Suri. So, 12 subhas is not the right answer. He divided his empire into 47 sarkars. These were units which were close to somewhere in between the province and the district. So, you can compare them with districts, and every district was having subdivisions called parganas. So, 12 subhas, for the first time when empire building process starts under Mughals, under Akbar, he was initially having 12 subhas. Their number increased later up to 15, and the highest number of subhas under the Mughals was under Aurangzeb, around 20, right? So, due to this particular fact, 12 subhas, this concept does not applies to Sher Shah's administration. This statement becomes wrong. Now, second, the system of trimetallism. Trimetallism means 3 kinds of metals were used. Came to characterize Mughal coinage, came under the administration of Sher Shah Suri. So, this statement is correct or not? We have to identify this. See, it was Sher Shah Suri who introduced a new currency, silver coin called rupiah. During his times, copper coins were called dam and the gold coins were called mohar. So, there was a system of coins made from 3 metals introduced during the Sher Shah's time, and it was continued by the Mughals also. So, this statement is correct. Now, third statement. Under his administration, peasants had to pay jaribana and muhasilana taxes, which were 1/6 of their produce. See, you might commit a mistake over here if you don't pay attention. These 1/6 of total revenue could be the rate of land revenue, but jaribana and muhasilana are not land revenues as such. They are taxes which are applied at the rate of 2.5% jaribana, 5% muhasilana. For the purpose of jaribana is about the land which is under cultivation is surveyed by the officers. They charge 2.5% of the total produce as tax to measure that land, which will be assessed for land revenue, right? While muhasilana is another tax, and muhasilana is more related to what you can say a charge on tax collection. When an officer collects tax after evaluating everything, he is charging on the behalf of the government 5% of the total produce for the effort made to measure the crops and all those things. So these are two kinds of taxes and they are not 1/6 of the produce, therefore this statement becomes wrong. So what is the answer? Only second statement is correct. Therefore, we can say how many of the statements given are correct? We will say only one. A becomes the answer of question number 24. Now, after this, we go to 25th question. Here, two statements are given and you have to identify what is the right answer based on the options given over here. So, let us consider these statements. Statement 1. Raja Mansingh of Gwalior, he was a Tamar ruler, was a patron of music and was credited with the invention of Drupad. Drupad is one of the 10 styles of Hindustani classical music, a classical music genre, right? So is it correct? Yes, this statement is correct and it was from his court that Tansen was sent to Akbar's court where he became one of the Navratnas or 9 gems, right? Tansen belonged to Gwalior school or Gwalior Gharana of music. Now statement second, he was honored by Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb is not a contemporary of Raja Mansingh of Gwalior, so automatically this statement should go wrong. He was honored by Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb with the title of Savai for his music skill and patronage. No, this is not right. Aurangzeb honored Raja Jai Singh of Amer, who laid the foundation of Jaipur also. He was given this title Savai. Savai means one who is better than his competitor by 1.25 times in a way, right? So, or it is like somebody who is superior. So, this statement is wrong. So, the answer would be statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. C is the answer of question number 25. Now, we go to the next set of questions. So, this is first set of questions discussed 20 to 25. Now, we go to 56 to 60. Question number 56 is again presented to you in the form of 3 statements and it is related to modern India. We have to identify how many of these statements are correct on the basis of options given below. Now, let us read out the statements. Lord Canning is credited with initiating the policy of paramountcy which aimed to assert British supremacy over all the native rulers in India. See, Lord Canning, his time period is 1846 to what you can say 1856 to 62. So he is the last Governor General of India and first Governor General and Viceroy of India after the Government of India Act 1858. So this is not correct. The policy of a paramountcy was aggressively pursued after the Charter Act of 1813 by the then Governor General Lord Hastings, and he was the one who waged a war against the Marathas and defeated and wiped out the Maratha power in the Third Anglo-Maratha War, which was fought between 1817 to 1818. And he picked up the issue of the Pindaris against the Marathas to fight against them. So this is factually wrong. Lord Hardinge prohibited sati, infanticide. There has been 2 Hardinge, infanticide and human sacrifices. Human sacrifice was very prevalent among the Khon tribes of Odisha, which were still practiced by Orthodox Hindus, particularly in the hilly areas of Odisha. So this is true. Lord Hardinge found certain things inhuman and he pursued these evils should go away from the Indian society. Lord Dalhousie, he was the one who is ill famous for the doctrine of lapse. Lord Dalhousie brought a number of modern changes in India. He is also known as father of modern India, including railways, telegraph and postal networks and public works. His time period is 1848 to 56. It is during this period in 1850s you see the first railway line was laid down between Thane and Mumbai. Telegraph was introduced in 1854. Postal system was what you can say upgraded and postal stamps were introduced during his time. A postal act was also passed, and he also introduced a new department of public works. So PWD, what we call. So this is also true. So statement 2 and 3 are correct. Statement 1 is wrong. How many of the statements given above are correct? We would say only 2. Answer becomes B for question number 56. Now we go to the 57th question. Here also some statements have been given, and we have to identify which statements are correct or incorrect. So question number 57. This is related to modern India. 3 statements are given, and we have to identify how many of them are correct. So first statement is, Portuguese established their first factory in India at Goa in 1500. Is this correct? If you remember correctly, Goa was occupied in 1510 and capital was established there. From the Sultan of Bijapur, the Portuguese governor Albuquerque confiscated it. So this is factually wrong. And the first factory, otherwise, Portuguese entered from what we call Calicut. There they established the first factory way back in a few years back before this. So we can say, even if this first factory was established around 1500, it was in Calicut, not in Goa. So this statement becomes wrong. Now the second statement, the Dutch founded their first factory at Masulipatnam or Machilipatnam, it is in Andhra Pradesh, in 1605 AD. Factually this is correct. Dutch means the people of Holland, right? The French established their first factory at Pondicherry in 1669. This is wrong. They established their first factory in 1668. They were latecomers in India, 1668, in Surat. The first factory of the French and the English were established in Surat. So this becomes factually wrong. Francis Caron was the person who established this factory in Surat. Pondicherry came into existence and became a headquarter in 1673 AD. So this is factually wrong. So how many of these statements are correct? We would say only 1. Answer of the question number 57 becomes A. Now we go to the 58th question. 58th question is a pairing type question. Here are 2 lists given. On one hand are given the names of journals or newspapers published during the freedom struggle, and on other side are mentioned the name of personalities who were associated with them as founders or editors or promoters. So you have to see that how many of the pairs given above are correctly matched. So let us see. Indian Mirror, was it published or anyway edited or somehow Devendra Tagore was related to it? It is true. Indian Mirror is associated with Devendra Tagore. He was the same person who was also related to Brahmo Samaj. Then Statesman founder was Robert Knight. This is also correct. Hindu Patriot, G.S. Iyer has nothing to do with Hindu Patriot. It was Girish Chandra Ghosh who led the foundation, and Harishchandra Mukherjee was an important editor who supported who wrote in favor of the Indigo Revolt in 1859-60. Som Prakash, Shyamji Krishna Verma did not have to do with Som Prakash. Shyamji Krishna Verma started the journal called Indian Sociologist in England. Som Prakash is more associated with a very well-known name, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and Dwarkanath Vidyabhushan played an important role in its foundation. So this is also wrong. So out of these 4 pairs, first 2 pairs are correct. We will say answer is B, only 2. Now we go to the 59th question, which is related to the Newspapers or Vernacular Press Act. So here you have to consider these 3 statements in the context of the Vernacular Press Act and then find out how many of these 3 statements are correct. See, the Vernacular Press Act was passed during the tenure of Lord Lytton, who was a reactionary viceroy and having imperialist tendencies. And this act was passed in order to, what you can say, contain the newspapers and journals that were published in Indian languages, and they were critical about British policies. So let us consider these statements. Under the act, the magistrate's decision was final and there could be no appeal in a court of law. This is true. The district magistrate was empowered and if he feels that the press should be confiscated or stopped from publishing, he could do so. There is no higher authority where you could go and make an appeal for a remedy. Now, a vernacular newspaper, means Indian language newspaper, could obtain exemption from the act by submitting proofs to a government censor. That's true. You have to submit the proof that he has not written anything which is seditious or criticizing the government of the day. Som Prakash and Amrit Bazar Patrika were banned and charged under the act. See, before they could be banned or charged under this act, they were published in Indian languages only. But what happened? Bengali was the language. They overnight transformed themselves into English newspaper and saved themselves from the what you can say action under Vernacular Press Act. So this statement becomes wrong. So how many of the statements given above are correct? We would say only 2. B is the answer of question number 59. Now we go to the 60th question. The 60th question is again match type, where we have to identify how many pairs are correct. So, on one side are given the present movements, on the other side their aims. You have to identify whether they are correctly matched or not, and then identify how many of these are correctly matched. So, let us see. Bakasht movement, was it against the Zamindar's policies regarding occupancy rights? That is true. Okay. Eka movement, Eka means unity, it was against increase in rents. Okay. Tebhaga movement, 3-part as it indicates, was against the practices of money lenders and officials of Nizam of Hyderabad. This is wrong. Factually, Tebhaga movement occurred in Bengal. So this Hyderabad is wrong. If they written here Bengal, this would have been correct. So this is wrongly matched. Ramosi uprising, it occurred in 19th century against the British failure to take up. Its aim was to they acted against British because the British government failed to take proper measures against famine. So this is correct. Okay. Vasudhaiv Balwant Phadke is one of the important leaders associated with Ramosi uprising. So what will be the answer? 3 pairs are correct. 1 is wrong. We will say only 3. C is the answer of 60th question. Now we go to the last set of questions for discussion under the history and culture section. So question number 76 to 80 are the next set of questions. So 76th question, what it is saying, let us see. It is related to modern India and it is about subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance was a policy that came into existence in rudimentary form under the French, especially Dupleix. But it was effectively used as a holistic policy by one of the governor generals of the English, among the English, that is Lord Wellesley. And he brought many of the Indian states under British control without fighting a war. For example, in 1798, the first to accept the subsidiary alliance, a subordinate position in an alliance with the company, was the Nizam of Hyderabad. 1799, Mysore, after the death of Tipu Sultan, subsidiary alliance was accepted by the Awadhyar dynasty, which was restored by the British in Mysore. And 1801, Awadh also accepted subsidiary alliance. So there were 4 or 5 important aspects of subsidiary alliance which put the Indian native rulers in a subordinate position to the company. And let us see, in that context, these statements are correct or not. First is, to enter into a subsidiary alliance, an Indian ruler or king had to disband his military forces and accept British forces in his region. This is true. This was the first and foremost, what you can say, point of subsidiary alliance. The company would say that we will provide you protection, the native ruler, but you will have to abandon your army. Our troops will be deployed in your territory, but you will have to pay for the maintenance of those troops. How you will pay? Either in cash or in kind. If you are paying in kind, surrender some territory to us, we will collect revenue and we will maintain the army from that revenue. So this is how sovereignty of the princely state or Indian ruler has been compromised. Second point, forming alliances with any other foreign country was prohibited for the Indian state. the native princes, they lost their sovereignty under this subsidiary alliance. So they could not conduct their relations with other states or countries without the consent of the British. Consent of the British. The British will take the lead in this matter. So this is also correct. So your defense is gone, your foreign policy is gone, you have lost your sovereignty, right? Third, the British government exercised the right to interfere in the internal spheres of the states. Before I discuss this, there are two or more points associated with the subsidiary alliance. In subsidiary alliance, the British decided to deploy their officers as agents in the court of the native ruler, who will keep an eye on their policies and programs and everything. And the native rulers could not even hire other Europeans or Americans in their administration or take their services without the consent of the company. So that was also part of the subsidiary alliance policy. The British promised that they will not interfere in the internal affairs of the native rulers. But as we know, in most of the agreements and contracts that the British signed with the native rulers and other people, they always betrayed them and they will not keep many of their promises. So British promised that they will not interfere, but they would interfere. So the British government exercised the right to interference in principle, no. Subsidiary alliance, they said, no, we will not do it. In practice, they did it. But that statement is not theoretically applicable to subsidiary alliance, so it goes wrong. So how many of the above statements are correct? We would say only two. Answer is B. Now we go to the next question, that is question number 77. Again here in question number 77, two statements are given and we have to identify on the basis of given options whether statement 1 and 2 both are correct or not, and if statement both are correct, statement 2 correctly explains statement 1 or not, based on these options. So let us see. Statement 1 is about Indian National Army, it says. Both the statements are about Indian National Army, or what we call Azad Hind Force. It was the brainchild of Captain Mohan Singh. Ras Bihari Ghose also played an important role, and the most important person who reorganized it and turned it into an important force was Subhash Chandra Bose. So let us see. The Indian National Army, or what we call INA or Azad Hind Force, mostly consisted of indentured laborers who were captured by the British Army after the abolishment of slavery in the 19th century. See, in 1833, Britain declared abolition of practice of slavery. But the Indian National Army did not comprise of indentured laborers. Indentured laborer means who have signed some kind of contract or bond with the British government, and they have been sent to South Africa or Caribbean to work in the plantations. So they were not the part of Indian National Army. The Indian National Army comprised those soldiers and officers who were part of the British Indian Army, and in the campaign against Japan in Myanmar, the Japanese defeated the British side and they captured the Indian soldiers. It were these soldiers Captain Mohan Singh felt should be used to create the Indian National Army. So it is not indentured laborers, but the soldiers of the British Indian Army that were to form what we call the Indian National Army. This fact is wrong. This statement is actually incorrect. Statement 2, the INA was formed during World War II to help. Yes, it was in 1940s it came into its existence, as we know about it when we relate it with Subhash Chandra Bose. The INA was formed during World War II in Singapore to help in the independence movement of India against British rule. This is true. So what is the right answer? We would say statement 1 is incorrect and statement 2 is correct. So the answer is D. D becomes the answer of question number 77. Now we go to 78th question. This question is also related to modern India. There are 3 statements given. All these 3 statements are related to Delhi Darbar. Means a large gathering organized on the occasion of making important announcements regarding India as a colony of Britain by the monarch or on the behalf of the monarch, right? Some important transitions or decisions are being made, or declarations or announcements are made. So how many of the statements given above are correct? We have to identify that. So let us read these statements. Statement 1 says, Delhi Darbar was a mass assembly held to commemorate the accession of a new British monarch to the title Empress or Emperor of India. That is true. Queen Victoria, King Edward and King George V were the people who were there associated with these darbars at different points of time. So differently, when this Delhi Darbar was organized, means all the rulers of princely states accepting loyalty of the British crown will come and gather. Important officials of the British Empire, including Viceroy and other people, will participate in that. So it was a mass assembly, that is true. Delhi Darbar was organized thrice during the colonial rule. This is also true. It was organized in 1877 when Lytton was Viceroy, then 1903, and then 1911 when the capital was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. Hardin was the Viceroy. So this is also factually correct. Now, statement 3. Delhi Darbar of 1903 was the only time when a sovereign Queen Victoria attended the Darbar. So we have to see that whether it is correct or not. This does not appear correct. It was the then Viceroy who, Viceroy means deputy of the British monarch or representative of the British monarch. He represented Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria did not visit India, and therefore this statement becomes wrong. So, how many of the statements given are correct? We would say only 2. B is the right answer of question number 78. Now, question number 79. This is also related to modern India. It is related with trade union or workers movement. So, let us see. Consider the following statements regarding the All India Trade Union Congress. See, All India Trade Union Congress was the first workers organization that was formed in 1920 under the leadership of Narayan Malhar Joshi. The leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai, Chaman Lal, then Bal Gangadhar Tilak played a crucial role in its foundation. Now, there are 3 statements given. We have to identify whether they are correct or not. So, statement 1. So, we have to identify how many of these statements are correct. The formation of the International Labour Organization, ILO, in 1919 acted as a catalyst for its formation. This is true. It acted as an inspiration, and N.M. Joshi felt that there should be an all India body to look after the affairs of or to communicate the grievances of the workers in factories. So, this is true. Lala Lajpat Rai was elected as the first General Secretary of AITUC. This is wrong. Lala Lajpat Rai was the person who presided over, he was the first president of the first session of the AITUC. He was not the General Secretary. General Secretary was Diwan Chaman Lal, right? So, this becomes factually wrong. Third statement, AITUC in its second session in Jharia had adopted a resolution of Swaraj years before the Congress adopted such resolution. This is true. It was during a Jharia session that AITUC declared Swaraj as a resolution, a main goal for India. So, this statement is also correct. We would say only 2 statements are correct, 1 is wrong. Answer becomes B for question number 70. This is 78 or 79? This is question number 79, right. Now, we go to the last question under the history and culture section, that is question number 80. This is also related to modern India, and we have to find out whether these statements are correct in the context of the Nehru report. See, the Nehru report was published in August 1928. It was after the Congress and other political parties in India rejected the Simon Commission. The then Secretary of State for India, Lord Birkenhead, was quite irritated, and he threw a challenge to the Indian side that if you can build consensus and draft a constitution, please do so, because he felt that Indians would not be able to unite for such a cause. But Congress took that challenge, organized an all party conference and appointed a committee to under the chairmanship of Motilal Nehru to draft such a report. which was a framework for a constitution for India. So let us see these statements are, how many of these statements are correct in the context of Nehru report. First statement, it was drafted by an all parties conference committee chaired by Motilal Nehru with Tej Bahadur Sapru as secretary. Till here, the statement is correct. It goes wrong here. This part is wrong. Tej Bahadur Sapru was one of the liberal leaders, but the secretary of the committee was not Tej Bahadur Sapru. It was Motilal Nehru's son, Jawaharlal Nehru. Congress here was represented by Subhash Chandra Bose. Right. Other parties were also given representation in this committee. So this becomes factually wrong. Statement 2. The primary goal of the report was to grant India dominion status within the British Commonwealth. This is true. This was the first recommendation in the Nehru report, even though it was not liked by the young leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. They were against the demand of dominion status. They wanted complete independence. Right? This is correct. Now, third, it proposed joint electorate with seats reserved for minorities in legislature. This is true. The Nehru report rejected the idea of separate electorates. Rather, it said the electorate should be joint. All the people in a constituency should be allowed to participate in the election of their representatives, but there should be reservation made for the minorities in legislature to ward off their insecurities. So this is also correct. So how many of these statements given above are correct? You would say only 2. B is the answer of question number 80. So with this history and culture discussion for Panchsutra 5 ends. Thank you so much.
Hello and welcome to the discussion of Panchsutra 5, which was held today. So I'll be taking the economy discussion, the questions which have been asked in this particular test. So this particular test had mix of, you can say, WTO related questions were there, again trend based questions were there, and some of the conceptual questions. So quickly we'll see one by one the questions and as to see the explanation to it. So we'll start with the 11th question. So the first question in the economy section was the 11th question. It says, consider the following. How many of the above mentioned tools can be classified as automatic stabilizers? So if I ask you what is the function of a stabilizer, it tries to regulate the voltage. That is the primary function of any stabilizer. But if we talk about this particular stabilizer in economic sense, in economy, if I talk about this economic stabilizer, what should a stabilizer do? It should try to prevent overheating of economy. And what is the meaning of that overheating? The idea is if the inflation is too high, then these automatic stabilizers should be ensuring that the inflation, some of those activities that should automatically try to reduce the inflation or in a way act like a fiscal drag. And in that sense, if the economy is not doing good, if the growth prospects are very low, then what would happen that it would try to boost it, just like stabilizer tries to boost the voltage. So in that sense, we'll see the automatic functions. So out of it, personal income tax, unemployment allowance and corporate taxes. These are automatic stabilizers. How can they be said that? The idea is if suppose the inflation is very high and the economy is doing very good, then the income would be rising, and if the income increases, the tax collection would be very high. The corporate tax collection would also be very high. So in a sense, if the economy is getting overheated, these mechanisms would try to reduce those things. So in a way, it tries to act like a drag on these overheatings. Similarly, if the economy is not doing very great, then what would the government do? Government would try to boost it through giving cash in the hands of public by way of increasing the unemployment allowances. Apart from that, if we see the third, second and the fourth options, the open market operations or the marginal standing facility, These are monetary policy facilities, but these are at the discretion of the Reserve Bank of India whether they want to operate these facilities or not. These cannot be told or cannot be considered as automatic stabilizers, as they are not being automatically triggered in. That is the idea. So out of it, these options, second and fourth options are incorrect. So first, third and fifth. So B would be the correct answer, only 3. The second question was with reference to digital banking units. So what are they? Although they have this digital term incorporated into their, you can say, name, but they are not online. Just you can say they do not be cannot be considered that they have only online presence. They are brick and mortar facility or offline or physical centers. So the idea is to you can say extend the digital banking facilities, the digital financial facilities. These brick and mortar units have been created not just by public sector banks but also by private sector banks. Private banks are also allowed. So it's a kind of kiosk. So rather than having all the spectrum of banking, they only cater to some of the facilities which are more into, you can say, increasing the digital aspects like online transactions and all those things. So if we see the first statement, it says they provide online banking services to customers without having any physical presence. This part is incorrect, so this statement becomes incorrect. Only public sector banks have been allowed to set up DBUs? No. Initially it started with the State Bank of India. They had this customer service point. Still they are operating with this CSPs. But now they have transformed these CSP, or you can say they have added another vertical that are known as DBUs or digital banking units. And this particular thing has been again extended to all the private sector banks also. So this particular DBUs are not now only limited to public sector bank, rather they are also extended to the private sector banks also. So both the statements are incorrect. We have been asked about correct, so D would be the correct answer. 13th question is with reference to the status of Indian economy in the last 5 years. So this becomes a trend based question. Consider the following statements. The first statement is the capital expenditure by the government. So we'll see the capital account or the capital budget, and within that capital budget it has receipts and expenditures. So what could be those capital expenditure? Higher investments in physical infrastructure, creation of physical infrastructure could be one of the component of capital expenditure. So the capital expenditure by the government has consistently increased. This is correct. This is because we have been asked in the context of last 5 years. So if I talk about last 5 years from 2018-19 to 2023-24, in terms of capex that has increased, it has increased from rupees 3.6 lakh crore. So in the budget 2018-19, the total capex that was proposed was 3.6 lakh crore, and the last year budget, the last financial year, it has zoomed to rupees 11 lakh crore, and it has consistently increased. Why? Because even during that COVID period, they had higher government expenditure in terms of more roads getting built, higher expenditure on the physical infrastructure getting created. So this becomes a correct statement. Now if I see the second statement, if we see that the average monthly gross GST collection, the monthly gross GST collection have consistently increased, although it has increased to round about 1.8 lakh crore average last year. But that has not been consistent, all because in that COVID year 2020-2021, there was a shortfall, I can say there was a blip, or I can say downward movement in average GST collection. So it went down. So this becomes incorrect because it was that particular year, all because of the, you can say, COVID induced lockdown, the whole economy was into turmoil. So it led to lesser demand of goods and services getting supplied or getting purchased. That led to lower average monthly GST collection. The gross non-performing assets have steadily decreased as a percentage of gross advances. This is correct because it has decreased from round about 11% to 3% roughly. And this has been consistent. That shows the, you can say, the prudential frameworks that have been adopted by banks in lending mechanisms. So this is correct, but the second statement is incorrect. So D would be the correct answer, as only first and the third statement which has been given is correct, 1 and 3. D would be the correct answer. 14th question is, which of the following could be the reasons behind the failure of monetary policy transmission? So when we talk about monetary policy transmission, suppose the Central Banking Authority or the Reserve Bank of India through the Monetary Policy Committee sets 4% as the policy rate. But how can this be transmitted? It all depends on the banks. At the same time, it also depends on the customers, or you can say the consumers. How are they reacting to these policies which have been set by the Monetary Policy Committee? So if we see the statements, we are talking about the failure of monetary policy transmission. Banks increasing their parking of funds with the central banks under the reverse repo rate mechanisms. This is correct. So what happens that if the banks see that there is no avenues to increase the loan, the credit demand in the market is not very high, they would try to park their excess liquidity with Reserve Bank of India rather than going for the risky lending. So in a way, the monetary transmission or monetary policy transmission fails in that part, wherein the idea should be that it should lead to, you can say, ignition, or you can say increase in lending activities in the market, rather than it is happening that the banks are reluctant to go for riskier lending and they are comfortable with risk-free depositing of their excess liquidity with the Reserve Bank of India. Depressed sentiments in the market during economic recession leading to low credit uptake. This is the idea. If there is no visible, you can say talk about the visible demand of credit in the market, where you can say that if the investment climate is not so conducive in the near term, so that would lead to pessimism in the market and the credit uptake would be low, and if the credit uptake would be low, that would lead to the failure of monetary policy transmission. Increase in currency deposit ratio. So what is that currency deposit ratio? It is the currency or the cash component over the deposits in bank. So if the deposits in bank reduces, or if the cash with public increases, the currency deposit ratio would increase. But at the same time, if the deposit of banks reduces, the credit activity or the lending activity would be negatively hurt, and that would lead to, you can say, the failure of monetary policy transmission in the banking system, because the deposits, the fodder for banks are reducing in this case. So all the statements would lead to, all the conditions would lead to the failure of monetary policy transmission in the banking system. 15th question is, consider the following statements about poverty estimation in the post-independence India. The Lakrawala committee was the first one to use calorie intake for defining the poverty line. The Lakrawala committee gave the report in 1993, but before that, this Rath and Dandekar committee used calorie based estimation, or you can say consumption based on calorie intake, and it was given in 1971. So this becomes an incorrect statement. The Tendulkar committee shifted the focus from calorie intake to a broader consumption basket. So this consumption basket included food items as well as non-food items. and that also included expenditure on health and education. This is correct. The Rangarajan committee suggested a higher poverty line than the Tendulkar committee. This is also correct, because if we see the Tendulkar committee report, the poverty line for rural India was set at rupees 27 rupees, and for urban India it was rupees 32 or 33 rupees. But Rangarajan committee used modified mixed recall period, at the same time also increased the threshold to be considered as poor, and that increased to rupees 33 rupees or 32 rupees for rural India, and for urban India it increased to rupees 47. And because the threshold got increased, the number of poor, or the poverty head count ratio in India increased, and that was why Rangarajan committee report was not accepted in totality by the government. So out of these, two statements are correct. B would be the correct answer. 51st question is, consider the following statements. The inclusion of Indian government bonds or the government securities in the JP Morgan's Global Bond Index for emerging market, GBI EM, emerging market, can boost liquidity in the bond market. This is a correct statement. Suppose if our Indian bond market or our Indian government security or G6 get listed in some of the foreign listed indices, that would attract foreign investment into bond market in India. And if the investors base increases from local to global, what would happen, that the liquidity in the market or the way the trading volumes or the number of tradings that are happening in the secondary market would increase. At the same time, if there is more demand for Indian bonds in the global market, what would happen, that the yield rates, because the demand would lead to increase in the prices of bond, and that would lead to softening of the yield rate, and that would be very helpful for India, for the Indian government. Why? Because it would lead to lower cost of capital. So if they go for fresh borrowing, they know that the potential investors are not just domestic investors, rather their bonds are also getting listed on global emerging bond indices, and that would lead to broadening of the investor base. So this is correct, and widening of investor base for Indian bond can make it more attractive. This is correct, and that is why if the base increases, the liquidity in the market also increases. That is why the higher is the participation in any financial market, that leads to the liquidity getting more increased. So both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is explaining statement 1. 52nd question is, consider the following statements about primary agricultural credit societies, PACs. They accept deposits and provide loan to the needy members at the district level. This is incorrect, because if we see the rural cooperative credit, it has two things, short term and long term. At the short term, there are 3 levels. At the first level is state cooperative societies. Then at the second tier, it is the first tier. At the second tier is district central cooperative societies. And at the last tier, the third tier, it is PACs at the village level. So it is not at the district level, it is at the village level. They are source of long term rural financing. This is also incorrect, because it is short term. For long term, it is State Agri and Rural Development Bank, and there are other primary agricultural rural development banks which are there at the which ensure long term credit financing through cooperative mechanism. So both the statements are incorrect. D would be the correct answer. 53rd question is, consider the following statements with respect to WTO negotiations. The temporary peace clause on public stock holding was adopted in the Bali conference. This is correct. That happened in 2013. That ensured that developing economies like India can exceed that de minimis level. De minimis level wherein the aggregate measure of support could exceed the values like 10% of the criteria of the total you can say subsidies which are given, that could be exceeded, that could be breached if it is for public stock holding, and that cannot be challenged in the WTO by any other member state. The Doha Development Agenda has been the most successful round till date. This is incorrect. This started in 2001, but WTO works on consensus mechanism. So all the parties, all the member states should have an agreement, you can say collaborative agreement, but that rarely happens, and this is one of the Doha Development Agenda was one of that round which is still under negotiation, and some of the, you can say, critics say that most of the negotiations have failed and we need to start afresh. So this becomes incorrect. So A would be correct answer. 54th question is, in the context of India's share market, consider the following statements. Again, we have been asked a trend based question. Ownership by retail investors has steadily declined in the last 5 years. This is incorrect, and you could have guessed it by the way that the number of demat accounts have increased from, you can say, 4 crore to more than 15 crore now in retail. The retail demat accounts, so the number of retail, you can say the retail participations after COVID has zoomed like anything, and this is an incorrect statement. Foreign ownership has steadily increased in the last 5 years. This is also incorrect. Why? Because the retail participation has increased and the foreign participation, foreign ownership of the shares in Indian equity market has reduced over time, and that is why we are seeing that even if FIIs are pulling money out of the Indian market, that is not leading to any knee-jerk reaction in the Indian equity market, and it is the domestic investors which are catching up, and that is leading to stability in the prices. So we are talking about the correct, both the statements are incorrect. 55th question is, consider the following statements. Over leveraging by banks may lead to bank run. What is that bank run? Bank run is a situation, what happens that many of the depositors, they simultaneously come to the bank and say that they want their deposits back. Why do they want that? All because they feel that the banking, or you can say the authorities in the bank are not working in, you can say, a prudential manner. Why? Because they are going for higher lending than they can absorb. So if they do for indiscriminate lending without going for any risk profiling and all those things, that may lead to over leveraging, and if there is over leveraging in banks, that would risk the money of depositors, and if this news spreads, many of the depositors may come simultaneously asking for their money back, and that may lead to bank run. So this statement is correct. High provisioning by the banks may reduce credit supply. This is correct because banks have various, you can say, restrictions like CRR, SLR, that is mandated by the Reserve Bank of India. Apart from that, they need to maintain the capital adequacy ratio or the capital to risk weighted adequacy ratio, assets ratio, CRAR. So that goes out of credit that is available for them to offer to the market. Apart from that, if there is higher non-performing assets or NPAs, that would mean that the provisioning or the portion that they keep aside for, you can say, to cover for the losses, potential losses, that is what is known as provisioning. And if this provisioning coverage increases, then the credit supply in the market would automatically go down. So this statement is also correct, but there is no link between statement 1 and statement 2. Both are explaining independent and isolated concepts. So B would be the correct answer. 86th question is, consider the following: shortage of skilled labor, high interest rate, lack of infrastructure, high budget deficit and predictable inflation. How many of the above can discourage investment in the economy? So if there is investment, how can investment climate become pessimistic? If the factors of production are costly or inefficient, or there is demand pessimism, or inflation is unpredictable. So we'll see according to that. If there is shortage of skilled labor, then the factors of production, you can say there is a shortage of factors of production that may lead to blip or in the production capacity, and that will lower investment. And that is why we are saying that if there is shortage of skilled labor in India, that would not attract foreign investment. High interest rate, that is detrimental because the cost of capital and the return on investment. If they need to generate profit, then the return on the investment that is made by the investor should be higher than the cost of capital. And if the cost of capital increases, that is linked with higher interest rate, that would reduce their profitability, and that in a way would deter any investment activity. This is also correct. Lack of infrastructure, because infrastructure is an enabler or a multiplier in economy that reduces the cost of production and movement of goods and services. This is also correct. Higher budget deficit. If there is higher budget deficit, that means the market borrowing program of the government would be higher, and that would lead to crowding out of private investment, because the cost of capital would increase, because the banks would try to increase their interest rate. That is also correct. Predictable inflation, this is incorrect as per the demand of the question, because if there is predictable inflation, then accordingly the investors, or you can say the business entrepreneurs, can decide how they can effectively use their investment or their capital. So this becomes incorrect only out of all the options given. So out of all, only 4 is correct. C would be the correct answer. 87th is, which of the following best describes the objective of supervisory action framework? So it is more related to monitor and regulate the financial health of urban cooperative bank. So this has been initiated by the Reserve Bank of India, all because the urban cooperative bank and the multi-state cooperative bank have been added to the portfolio, or you can say they have been brought in under the Banking Regulation Act. Banking Regulation Act, and RBI now has a direct control. Earlier the UCBs and the multi-state cooperative bank were supervised by the Registrar of Credit Societies, or RCS, of the respective state government, all because the cooperative society is under the purview of state list. But because of many defaults and many, you can say, bankruptcy getting filed in urban cooperative bank, that was brought under the folds of RBI. So they have brought in this supervisory action framework so as to make sure that those urban cooperative banks can follow those prudential norms that is more, you can say, beneficial for the protection of interest of depositors. Interest of depositors, because it is the depositors' money which is at risk if the way they do their lending activities, that is not prudential enough, then it is the depositor's money which is at risk. 88th question is, recently the Reserve Bank of India has approved a record surplus, the dividend transfer, of over rupees 2 lakh crore to the center. This will come under which of the following categories? So if any dividend is getting transferred to the government, it becomes a non-tax revenue receipt for the government. So C would be the correct answer. In revenue part, revenue budget, we have receipt and expenditure, and in the receipt part we have tax revenue and non-tax revenue, and in the non-tax revenue we have interest which is collected or fines, spectrum sale, dividend, etc. So these are non-tax revenues. 89th question is with reference to commercial paper. So commercial paper is generally issued by the corporates, and that is a short term money market instrument. And those corporates, if they should not be banks generally, if they are issued by banks, that becomes a certificate of deposits. So it is a secured money? No, this is not secured, this is unsecured, that is not backed up by any collateral, although it is a promissory note that promises the holder of that commercial paper a promise that their money would be repaid at a fixed interval of time, but still it is not secured, it is rather unsecured, so this becomes incorrect for corporate entities. So this can be issued by not only corporates but also all India financial institutions like NABARD, Exim Bank, SEBI, etc. There are many other entities. Apart from that, the primary dealers which deal with the which deal in the primary market when the securities are issued for the first time. So that is also allowed, but here we are talking with respect to the corporate entities. If they are getting issued by the corporate entities, then only those corporate entities can issue it if they have investment grade rating on their commercial paper, and that should be rated by the domestic credit rating agencies like CRISIL or CARE. There are many rating agencies, they need to rate it that this particular commercial paper is a investment grade rating. So this becomes correct. So out of this, B would be the correct answer, as first statement is incorrect and the second statement is correct. So the last question which was asked was, consider the following statements about the pulses production. So again, it is talking about one of the crops under the MSP. So MSP, you need to know about the MSP, the trend, and what is the percentage of production and their relevant details regarding the, you can say, talking about the foreign producers also, with respect to foreign trade like imports and import. So India is the largest producer of pulses in the world. This is correct. India is the largest importer of pulses in the world. This is also correct. India is the largest producer as well as the largest consumer of pulses as well as milk. But recently, all because there is higher demand of pulses and that is not getting fulfilled with the domestic supply, so we are resorting to import, and the level of import, it is very high, and that is pushing India into the top bracket in terms of the country which has the highest import value in terms of pulses import. Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Rajasthan are the top 3 pulses producing states in the country. This is factually also correct. So all the 3 statements are correct. So this was all about the discussion related to economy. Thank you.
So hello everyone. Now we are going to discuss the current affairs question of Panchsutra test number 5. So in this particular paper, we had 15 questions from current affairs sections. Question number 6 to 10, question number 41 to 45 and question number 81 to 85. They are from current affairs. So let us quickly see these questions. And as you know that current affairs is a very dynamic section. So current affairs relates to various things. Sometimes you come across those questions that have, let's say, like, some terms that are in news, they are asked. Sometimes it is related to environment and ecology. Sometimes it is related to other aspects that are in news. Okay, so we are going to solve these questions one by one. So this is question number 1. I mean, like, from our perspective. So it says sisal plant was recently in news in the context of. Okay, so this particular plant was recently in news because, like, it has the potential. Means this particular plant can be used for manufacturing sanitary pads. Okay, so this plant can be used for manufacturing sanitary pads. That's why this plant was in news. Okay, very simple question. So with this, now let us move to next question. Question number 7. I mean, like, in our part, it is question number 2. So it says consider the following pairs. On one side they have mentioned the products that has received GI tags, and on the other side they have mentioned the states, let's say, to which these belong. So number one, they have mentioned Rupa Tarakasi, okay, Rupa Tarakasi. So basically, like, this particular product belongs to the state of Odisha, okay, or Odisha. So that's why first statement is incorrect. When we talk about the second statement, it is Ambaji white marble, okay, Ambaji white marble. So this marble is found in the state of Gujarat, okay. So this statement is also wrong. Now when we talk about the third statement, it says Majuli masks, okay. So it is located in the state of Assam. This is correctly mentioned. You might have heard about Majuli Island, right, which is located in Assam. This is, let's say, a floating island, as you all know. So that's why only one statement is correct. Correct answer is option A. All right. So such topics are very important, like, where GI tax has been granted by government recently. Okay. So you need to remember the the products that has received GI tax, and also you need to understand where it belongs to which state in India it belongs to. Okay. So with this, now let us move to next question. Question number third question in our part. So it says, consider the following statements. So here we have been given 3 statements, right? So these statements are some of the initiatives of the government of India based, like, to promote cooking, cooking effectively by using effective, effective methods. So it says Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is implemented by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana is implemented by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. This statement is right. Now, so this is one of the government scheme. What? Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Now let us discuss the second scheme. It says the Unnat Chulha Abhiyan program is implemented by Ministry of Power. Okay, Unnat Chulha Abhiyan program. It is not implemented by Ministry of Power, but it is implemented by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, okay, MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So that's why second statement is wrong. Third, the National Efficient Cooking Program is implemented by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. This is also wrong, because this is not Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. This is by Ministry of Power, okay. This is by Ministry of Power. So the second and third statements here, the ministries have been, swapped. So this should be the first one should be Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, second one should be Ministry of Power. Okay, so that's why second and third statements are wrong. First statement is right. So correct answer would be only one. Okay, only one of the option is right. So with this, now let us move to next question. Okay, so we will solve this question. Question number 9 in the question paper. So here they have talked about some of the government schemes. Basically here we are talking about Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme. This scheme was recently in news in 2023 and in 2024 it is in news because the Prime Minister of India has announced this particular scheme. So it says consider the following statements with reference to PM Vishwakarma scheme. Alright. So here they have given 4 statements. Number 1, it is a centrally sponsored scheme. This statement is wrong. It is a central sector scheme. Okay, it is a central sector scheme. Okay, so that's why statement 1 is wrong. Second statement, it says it is being implemented by the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. This statement is right. It will be implemented from financial year 2023-24 to financial year 2029-30. So this is wrong. This is to financial year 2027-28, like this. Okay. Third, under this scheme, collateral free development loans at concessional interest rates are being given to the traditional artisans. This statement is right. So only 2 of them are correct. Here we are talking about PM Vishwakarma scheme. This particular scheme is to train people, is to, let's say, like, certify those people who are artisans in different sectors. So government of India has identified 18 different categories of artisans. For example, shoesmith, right? Or maybe someone, maybe of different people, like, who are working in artisan thing, a person who makes pottery, a person who makes something else. So, like, 18 such professions have been recognized, and these people will be trained by the government. They will be certified, and also after certification, these people will be offered, let's say, like, institutional credit facilities. They can, let's say, get loans from the government. So that's why second and third statement is right, other statements are wrong. Only two of the above statements are right. So with this, now let us move to next question. This is question number 10, okay, in the question paper. It says, consider the following statements. Here they have given two statements, and we need to identify which of these statements are correct. Okay, this is question number 10 in the question paper. So we are going to see this particular question. It says, the Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education, Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education is responsible for implementation of the Green Credit Program. This statement is right, okay. Green Credit Program has been in news last year in 2023 many times, because this is an innovative solution that the government of India has come up with. This is to incentivize those sectors that are taking initiatives to, let's say, like, to do something for the environment, right? So this is a kind of innovative market-based mechanism. Second statement, the Central Pollution Control Board, along with Bureau of Indian Standards, is responsible for the implementation of Eco-Mark scheme. Eco-Mark scheme is also part of this green credit program. Okay, so both these statements are right. Eco-Mark scheme under LIFE. You might have heard about this keyword, LIFE. Lifestyle for environment. Okay, LIFE, like that. Okay, lifestyle for environment. This is also promoted by the Prime Minister of India. So both these statements are right, first and second. So with this, now let us move to the next question number 41. Consider the following statements regarding Operation Kachhap. Okay, here we are talking about an operation. This operation is known as Operation Kachhap. It was aimed at preventing illegal trafficking and trading of turtles of Ganges. Okay, so turtles means tortoises, kachua, right? For protection of these turtles, that are turtles of Ganges, right, an operation has been launched by the government, and it is known as Operation Kachhap. It was aimed at preventing the illegal trafficking and trading of turtles of Ganges. It was conducted by the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. So this board name is wrong. It is Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. Okay, this is by Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. DRI. Okay, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. So second statement is wrong. How many of the above statements are correct? Only one, the first statement. So with this, now let us move to the next question. Consider the following statements. Here they have given, let's say, many statements, 4 statements. We need to identify which of these statements are correct, which statement is wrong. Number 1, Global Biofuel Alliance was launched. Here basically they have talked about different kind of environmental initiative. Okay, one of the initiative is Global Biofuel Alliance. Second is Mission Innovation on Clean Energy. Third is the Panchamrit Action Plan. Fourth is the Green Development Pact. So these are environmental initiatives, right, that are launched globally. So related to that, here they have asked which countries has launched, where it was launched, and we need to identify which of these statements are right. So when we talk about the Global Biofuel Alliance, it was launched in G20 summit. Where? It was launched in G20 summit that was held in India. It was not launched in COP28. That makes the first statement wrong. Second, Mission Innovation on Clean Energy. Okay, so this Mission Innovation on Clean Energy it was not launched at G20 summit. Okay, it was launched on, let's say, COP21. It was launched on COP21. Conference of Party 21, that is mentioned over here in the fourth. Conference of Parties 21 to the United Nations Framework United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. Second statement is wrong. Third statement is right. It says the Panchamrit Action Plan was announced by India at COP26 to the UNFC in 2021. So basically in Glasgow there was COP26. There India has announced the Panchamrit, let's say, action plan. Okay, third statement is right. Fourth statement is again wrong. It says Green Development Pact spearheaded by India was announced at COP2021. This statement is also wrong. The fourth statement is also wrong. Okay. So that's why only one of these statement is right, which is statement number third. Okay. How many of the above statements are right? Only one. I hope you understood the question. These are environmental initiatives. Where it was launched, they have asked. Okay, only third statement is right. What you need to do, you need to learn little bit more about Panchamrit. What do we mean by this Panchamrit and all? Okay, that you need to learn. So with this, now let us move to the next question. Question number 43. Which of the following is the most appropriate description of the term single materiality? Okay, single materiality. So which of them is the appropriate description? Okay, single materiality. So this statement is really important. You need to learn about it. Basically, when we talk about single materiality, it deals with the assessment as to how the environmental and social risk affect a company's financial performance rather than the company's impact on the environment and society. Basically, you might have heard about a key term which is ESG norms. What? You might have heard about environmental, social and governance initiatives. Okay, environmental, social and governance initiatives. So basically ESG norms are being promoted by the government, that all the industries, different sectors must promote ESG norms. Means like, you know, if they are setting up an industry, if they are running an industry, right, are they polluting the environment? So if they are polluting, they need to reduce the pollution level. Okay, that is environmental. And also they must make sure that, like, you know, their activity should not affect the society negatively. I mean, like, you know, they should somehow promote well-being of the society by contributing to the society. And governance norms, that like, you know, this corporate governance in those industries must happen properly. Okay, so this is the thing, that is environmental, social and governance norms. So when we talk about this single materiality, right, it deals with the assessment as to how environmental and social risks affect a company's financial performance rather than the company's impact on the environment and society. Okay, this is the thing. So that is single materiality. Okay, so with this, now let us talk about question number 44. Okay, next question. It says, in the context of green hydrogen standards announced by the government of India, consider the following statements. Green hydrogen standards. So what do we mean by green hydrogen? If you are producing hydrogen, right, whatever process that you are following, whatever method you are following, that method should not add carbon dioxide, that method should not increase the global warming. That is green hydrogen. So, like, you know, to make green hydrogen, basically, like, you know, we use electrolysis. That electrolysis process should be, like, here if you are using electricity, that electricity must come from renewable sources. Okay, so there is a ministry, right, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and that particular ministry, what it has done, it has given a definition of what do we mean by green hydrogen. So according to that ministry, green hydrogen is derived from renewable energy sources either via electrolysis or biomass conversion. Okay, if you are deriving green hydrogen through electrolysis or biomass conversion, okay, so that is known as green hydrogen. Okay, These standards stipulate the carbon emission should not exceed 2 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent for every kilogram of hydrogen produced. Means if you are producing green hydrogen, right, you may be producing, maybe let's say like, emitting carbon also. But there is a limit for production of 1 kilogram of green hydrogen, right? The level of carbon dioxide that you are emitting, it should not go beyond 2 kilograms. Okay, if it goes beyond 2 kilogram, that will not be considered green hydrogen. That's the thing. Okay, so second statement is wrong. Then third statement, Bureau of Indian Standards will be the nodal authority. No, it's not Bureau of Indian Standards, it is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Okay, what? Bureau of Energy Efficiency. This is the bureau. Okay, so second and third statements are wrong. Only the first statement is right. Okay, why second statement is wrong? Because here they have mentioned 5 kilograms. It is 2 kilograms. If you are producing 1 kilogram of green hydrogen, you should not emit more than 2 kilogram of carbon dioxide, right? Carbon emission should not go beyond 2 kilogram. Here they have mentioned 5 kilogram. Then Bureau of Energy Efficiency is the nodal agency, authority for accreditation of agencies for monitoring, verification and certification of green hydrogen producing projects. Okay, so that's why only one statement is right. So with this, we will move to the next topic, question number 45. Let's see this topic. It says, consider the following statements regarding Indian Pharmacopedia Commission. Okay, Indian Pharmacopedia Commission. It is an autonomous institute under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, this is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, not Ministry of, let's say, Chemical and Fertilizer. So that's why statement 1 is wrong. Second statement, it has a mandate to revise and publish the Indian Pharmacopedia National Formulary of India on a regular basis. Okay, this statement is right. Basically, why this commission was in news? Because a memorandum of understanding was recently signed between Indian Pharmacopedia Commission and Government of Republic of Suriname for the recognition of Indian Pharmacopedia in Suriname. So you might have heard about name of Suriname. Suriname is a country in South America, right? South America, if I draw a rough map of South America, let's say this is South America, okay, rough map of South America. So somewhere to the north of South America, we have Suriname, okay. So the standards that are being followed in India by the Indian Pharmacopedia Commission, that standard will be followed in Suriname also. For that matter, a memorandum of understanding has been signed. So that's why it was in news. Okay, only second statement is right. Option B is the right answer. So with this, now let us move to another question. Question number 81. Okay, it says, consider the following pairs. On one side, they have mentioned the regions that are in news. Regions means places that are in news. And on the other side, they have mentioned the countries, right, where these places are located. Okay. When we talk about Sistan, Baluchistan, okay, Sistan, Baluchistan is located in Iran. Where? In Iran. So first statement is wrong. When we talk about Idlib, Idlib is located in Syria. This is right. Belgorod Oblast, it's located in Russia. Okay, it's not located in Ukraine. So first statement is wrong, second is right. I mean, like, it is correctly matched. Third statement is wrong. How many of the above are correct? Only one. Option A is the right answer in our case. Okay. So now with this, let us move to the next question. This is question number 82. Okay. It says, in the context of international developments, the second Thomas Shoal is often mentioned in the news due to, okay, second Thomas Shoal. It is mentioned due to conflict between China and Southeast Asian countries in the South China Sea. You might have heard about South China Sea dispute, And when we talk about South China Sea dispute, 9 dash line has been created by China, and China asserts sovereignty over them. But there are few countries in South Asian region, and these countries like for example Philippines, right? They also, let's say, claim their sovereignty on Second Thomas Shoal. So when we talk about Second Thomas Shoal, it is with reference to the conflict between China and other Southeast Asian countries. Okay, this is the thing. So it's related to South China Sea dispute. Correct answer is option B. Now let us move to the next question. Question number 83. Okay, it says, consider the following statements about North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Which organization? NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So it says it was formed through Washington Treaty, which was signed in 1949 by 12 founding members. This is right. You might have heard about North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. It was in news many times in 2023 because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, right? Ukraine is trying to get the membership of NATO, and Russia is against this particular, let's say, like, objective of Ukraine, right? North Atlantic Treaty Organization has an article which is known as article number 5, and this article talks about collective security, that says an attack or threat of attack on any one of us will be considered an attack or threat of attack on all of us, and we will together retaliate against the common adversary. That is article 5, which makes this organization strong. This article 5 was for the first time used by United States of America after the attack on World Trade Towers, the twin tower attack that has happened, right? So after then they have used this particular thing, and that's why NATO is in news. So it says its headquarters is located in Washington DC. No, its headquarters is located in Brussels, okay, which is located in Belgium. Okay, Brussels, which is located in Belgium. Belgium is another country. Okay, the government of United States of America is the depository of the Washington Treaty. Okay, this is right. Any decision to invite country to join NATO is taken by North Atlantic Council based on consensus among all allies. Just a minute, let me re-verify this. Yes, second statement is right and third statement is also right. So it is any decision, if a new member is to join, if they want to join, the existing member should have a consensus, means all the existing member should agree to the admission of the new member. If any member is opposed to the admission of new members, so new member will not be added over here. Okay, so first, third and fourth statements are right. So how many of them are correct? Only 3. Option C is the right answer. Okay, so with this, now let us move to the next question. It says, with reference to Assam Rifles, okay, Assam Rifles, you might have heard about its name many times, right? With reference to Assam Rifles, consider the following statements. They have given 3 statements. Number 1, it is the oldest paramilitary force in India, formed even before 1857 War of Independence. This is right. It was formed by British India, right, to protect the, let's say, like, plains, to protect the regions, right, that were basically to protect the regions where the Britishers used to grow, let's say, crops and all. So this is the oldest paramilitary force. This is right. It was originally raised during the British period to protect tea gardens and fertile plains of Assam against illegal trespassers. This is also right. While it is administered by Indian Army, the Ministry of Home Affairs maintains the operational control. This is wrong. Okay, so it is other way round. So it is administered by Ministry of Home Affairs and operational control is done by Indian Army. Are you understanding? So sentence, while it is administered by Ministry of Home Affairs, right, its operational control is maintained by Indian Army. That should be the right statement. Okay, so that's why this statement is wrong. How many of these statements given above are correct? Only 2. Okay, only 2. Which of them? First and second. Okay. So with this, now let us move to the next question. I hope this is the last question under current affairs section. With reference to inclusion of cricket in Olympic Games 2028, consider the following statement. So, in Olympic Games, cricket will be, let's say, added, right, included. So, they have given 3 statements related to it. It will be the first time that cricket will be part of Summer Olympics. This statement is wrong, because when we talk about the Summer Olympics that has happened in 1900, when 1900, more than 124 years back, right? So that has happened in Paris. So then, let's say cricket was part of Olympics. England was a participating country. Okay, England was a participating country, and second country was France. Okay, England and France participated there. So that's why first statement is wrong. Now let us discuss about second statement. It says 50 over format will be played. No, 20 over format will be played. Okay, 20 over means like T20 type of format will be played in Olympic Games. So that's why second statement is wrong. The inclusion of cricket in Olympic Games comes with a binding condition that cricket must be officially played in at least 50% of the 206 member nations of the International Olympic Committee. So see, International Olympic Committee has its members, 206 members it has. So like they have come up with a binding condition that at least 75% of in these member countries cricket must be played. As of now, the present situation is that around in 50% of the countries cricket is being played. So International Olympic Committee, they want to promote, let's say playing cricket in these countries. So how many of these statements are correct? None of these statements are correct. All these statements are incorrect in this particular question. Okay. So basically we have discussed all the 15 questions from the current affairs sections. Now we are going to discuss the science and technology section of Panchsutra Test-5. My name is Zahidul. I am the faculty of science and technology section in Lukmaan IAS. So today we have 10 questions from science and technology section, question number 16 to 20 and question number 46 to 50 in your paper was from science and technology. So let us discuss about these questions one by one. So this is the first question that we are going to discuss. So here we are going to discuss about some types of waves, right, that are used in radio communication. So it says with reference to tactical land radio, okay, with reference to tactical land radio, consider the following statements. They have given 2 statements, and after reading these statements we need to identify that which of these statements are correct. So the first statement that they have given, it says it is a high bandwidth wireless communication system designed for the armed forces. Okay. Second, okay, so first statement is right. Second statement, it says it uses infrared waves for the reliable communication and wider range. So basically here we need to understand that we are talking about radio waves. If we talk about the electromagnetic spectrum, in electromagnetic spectrum, those waves that have very high wavelength, they are radio waves. Okay, so in electromagnetic spectrum we have, let's say, different types of waves that ranges from high wavelength to low wavelength. Okay, so when we talk about radio waves, their wavelength is very high, and here the discussion is happening related to radio waves, some kind of tactical radio waves that are used by the armed forces. Okay, so it does not use infrared waves, it uses radio waves. Okay, radio waves. Okay. So that's why second statement is incorrect, first statement is correct and second statement is incorrect. So correct answer for this question will be option A. Alright, option A is the right answer. So with this we are going to move to the next question quickly. So this is question number 17. So we are going to discuss this question. It says with reference to electromagnetic ion cyclotron. Electromagnetic ion cyclotron waves, consider the following statements. Again, this question is again from waves and signals. Okay, so as part of the GS Foundation batch, I take a specific class. One class is dedicated for understanding about different types of signals, waves, their characteristics, and also let's say like where they are used. So basically I have discussed about different types of signals and waves in the GS Foundation batch. So this kind of wave was in news. It was there in the Hindu newspaper, okay. So basically if you have been reading current affairs regularly, you might have come across this an article based on this type of wave, and it was also there in Press Information Bureau. So let us read this question. It says, with reference to electromagnetic ion cyclotron waves, consider the following statements. They have given 3 statements. We need to read these statements and identify which statements are correct and which statements are incorrect, okay. So the first statement says they are a type of plasma waves found in various regions of the Earth's interior, okay. So see, in first statement the overall part like up to here is right, but like they are not found in Earth's interior, okay. So they are found in the magnetosphere of Earth. Where? They are found in magnetosphere of the Earth. Where is magnetosphere? Outside the Earth, okay. If I talk about this is the Earth, so outside the Earth you might have seen like we have magnetic north pole, magnetic south pole, and we have a magnetosphere, okay. So basically the magnetosphere helps the like it protects the Earth from, let's say, magnetic waves that are emitting from the sun, okay. This is the thing. So first statement is incorrect because of this fact, because here they have mentioned that this is found in Earth's interior. Second, they consist of charged particles that interact with electromagnetic fields, okay. They consist of charged particles that interact with electromagnetic fields, okay. This is right. We know that magnetic waves interact with electric waves, okay, and they create electromagnetic fields together, okay. So third, they play a significant role in the precipitation of high energy electrons. This statement is also right. So basically this statement is related to electromagnetic ion cyclotron waves, okay. This kind of wave is found in the Earth's magnetosphere, and these waves sometimes may damage the electronic equipments that are there in the, let's say, low Earth orbit, okay, or that are there in the Earth's let's say in Earth's atmosphere or just above it, right. So how many of the above statements are correct? Only 2. Second and third statements are right. First statement was incorrect. So with this, now let us move to another question. This is question number 18. So this question is based on, let's say, assertion reasoning or statement based question, statement 1 and statement 2. So deepfakes uses generative adversarial neural networks or GAN to produce artificial data that is identical to actual data. So basically this topic has been taken from current affairs, and this topic is related to artificial intelligence. You might have heard about the case of Rashmika Mandanna, right? And also various celebrities, their deepfake videos have been made, it has been uploaded on the internet, that has caused sensation. And recently Rashmika Mandanna has also come up with a kind of clarification related to the video that surfaced on the internet that, I mean, seemed to be real to her, but it was a deepfake video. And during the, let's say, warfare between Israel and Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine, we have seen the deepfake videos of Ukrainian president, deepfake videos of Russian president circulating on the internet. So basically, in this question, we want to discuss or assess about the technological aspects associated with deepfake videos, okay. So it says, deepfake uses generative adversarial neural networks to produce artificial data that is identical to actual data. This statement is right. First statement is right. Second, GAN means generative adversarial neural networks, okay, or generative adversarial networks. So GAN uses generator and discriminator to accurately distinguish between produced and genuine data, okay. So this statement, if I talk about this thing, so over here in this question, both these statements are right. And here, first of all, they have talked about that, like, that deepfake videos use generative adversarial networks to produce, let's say, really looking data or similar data. But here they have mentioned that how GAN work. It means second statement explains the first statement. Okay, so that's why correct answer will be option A. It means both the statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Okay, correct answer is option A in this case. Okay, so this topic has been in news. It is related to usage of artificial intelligence, and so generative adversarial networks can be used for good purposes also, but sometimes it can be used for, let's say, bad purposes, like defaming a celebrity, defaming a politician, or defaming, let's say, like a person who has a repute, right, in the public eyes. Now let us discuss about this. With reference to ExpoSat mission, consider the following statements. Basically, you must remember that on 1st of January 2024, the Indian Space Research Organization has released, or it has launched, the ExpoSat mission, right? So this is known as X-ray polarimeter satellite mission. So this is the first such mission in India. I mean, like, internationally there have been similar missions before India, but for India this is the first such mission. So in this particular mission, we want to understand about polarization of X-ray waves in the, let's say, like near Earth orbit or in the low Earth orbits. For that purpose, we have launched the ExpoSat mission, and this mission has been launched by Indian Space Research Organization. So basically, we are going to read these two statements, and we are going to identify which statements are correct and which statements are wrong. You might have read about it in the newspaper. So it says it is India's first dedicated polarimetry mission to study various dynamics of bright astronomical X-ray sources in extreme conditions. This statement is right. It has been launched by India for the first time to study the X-rays in the Earth's atmosphere or in the low Earth orbit. Okay. The observatory has been placed in low Earth orbit of around 500 to 700 km from the surface of the Earth. This statement is also right. Both these statements are correct. So correct answer would be option C in question number 19. Option C is the right answer. Okay. So with this, now let us move to another question, question number 20. So this is the fifth question in science and technology that we are discussing. Now it says optogenetics. Okay. So this might be a new keyword for many of you, because let's say science and technology is a subject which is always evolving, and since it is always evolving, so new and new terms keep on coming, new discoveries keep on happening. So it is very important that you read current affairs, you read newspaper, you understand about recent developments of science and technology. Only this will help you to qualify the exam. This will help you to solve questions from science and technology. So it says a biological technique to control the activity of neurons or other cell types using light. Okay. So basically what happens, it is optogenetics is a term. This term refers to biological technique to control the activity of neurons or other cell types using light. Let us understand this fact, right? From our day-to-day experience, what we can get that, like, if during a summer day, like we are on a summer, and if in your room there are lights, let's say like you have turned on multiple lights, 2-3 lights, you will naturally feel more warmer, means like you will feel that, like, there is more heat in the room, because let's say, like, it activates, light activates certain kind of neurons in the brain. Okay, it let's say activates those neurons, and like it gives signal to the brain that there is more hot. Okay. Similarly, if you turn off the lights, you will naturally feel that the temperature has gone little bit down. Okay, this is the thing. So optogenetics is a biological technique to control the activity of neurons or other cell types using light. Okay, correct answer is option A. With this, now let us move to next question. Again, this is the term based question, very simple question, right? But provided that you have been reading current affairs, you have been reading newspapers. If you keep on reading newspaper regularly, you will be able to solve questions like this. Let us read this question. Like, this is xerozyme. Xerozyme is a type of enzyme it is associated with which one of the following? Aging in senior citizens. Correct answer is aging in senior citizens. So let us understand about this factor. So I'll give you an example. If you have seen bodybuilders, okay, bodybuilders who are, let's say, in the age group between 25 to 35 years, you might have seen their body to be very muscular. I mean, like, very muscular body, toned body like this. And same bodybuilders, when they age, when they become, let's say, 60 plus, 70 plus, what happens? Their muscles degenerate. I mean, like, you will find their muscles to be saggy, okay. Why it happens? It happens because of age, right? So with age, the muscles keep on degenerating, and this term is known as xerozyme, okay. It is known as xerozyme, okay. It is associated with aging of senior citizens, aging of people. So when you age, your muscles degenerate, right? Your muscles degenerate. That is the thing. So correct answer is, let's say, like option A. Now with this, now let us move to another question. Question number 47. It says, consider the following statements. Again, this question is statement based. Two statements are given. We need to read and identify which of them are correct. So generation of attosecond pulses is important to study electrons dynamics properly. This statement is right. The radius of the electron is of the order of few femtometers, okay. This statement is also right. Now let us understand. When I talk about attosecond pulses, attosecond physics has been in use in 2023 and also in 2024. Why attosecond physics is important? Because, like, that year in 2023, Nobel Prize in Physics, Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded for doing experiments to generate attosecond pulses. What do we mean by attosecond? Attosecond means it is, let's say, 1 attosecond or 1 atto, I am just writing AS, 1 attosecond is equivalent to the number of seconds in a, for example, when the universe was created from the Big Bang till now, whatever is the number of second, I mean, like, there have been around 13.4 billion years, I mean, like, since the universe was formed. I mean, it's a very long period of time. So in this long period of time, whatever number of seconds we have, right, same number of seconds, same number of attoseconds are there in 1 second. Means, like, if you convert that 1 second into smaller units called attosecond, so 1 second will have as many attoseconds as there are number of seconds since the birth of the universe, like that. So attosecond is a very small fraction of time. So what scientists have done, scientists have generated pulses, right? They have generated light pulses, that is known as attosecond pulses, and using that attosecond pulses, they have been able to take photograph or understand what happens inside electrons, like what happens, like how electrons behave when energy is imparted into them, okay. So attosecond pulses is, let's say, a new field of study in physics. So basically, those scientists who have done experiments in attosecond pulses, who have generated attosecond pulses, I mean, like, those pulses that are of very short duration, and these pulses will help us to identify, let's say, like, electron dynamics, I mean, like, how electrons behave, right? That is known as attosecond pulses. First statement is right. Second, it says the radius of an electron is of the order of a few femtometers. Femtometers means something which is 10 raised to power minus 15 meters. I mean, like, the radius which is smaller than this thing, or radius which is equivalent to, roughly, let's say, comparable to 10 raised to power minus 15 meters. So that is the thing. So this is known as attosecond pulses for 10 raised to power minus 18 meters, okay, like that. So this is known as, like, this is the radius of an electron. Radius, we know, if we have a circle, this from the center point to any of the corners, whatever is the distance, right, that is known as radius, okay. This is radius. So both these statements are correct. Over here in this question, both these statements are correct, okay. And so in this particular statement, both these statements are correct. And the second statement talks about the first statement, because like if you want to study the behavior of electrons, right, you need to study at that level, like at the level of radius of an electron. Only then you will be able to study. So they are connected. Correct answer would be option A. Okay, correct answer would be option A. So with this, now let us move to another question, question number 48. Let's discuss about this question. Here, let's say this question, you can answer this question based on your day-to-day experience, right? Experiential learning, day-to-day observation. So it says, a frozen lake feels colder to touch than the surrounding air on a winter day. Okay. Consider a situation, let's say that you have gone to Russia, or you have gone to a cold place, maybe in England. So in those countries, naturally it's colder, but their lake sometimes is frozen. Frozen means like ice covered lakes, okay, frozen. If you touch that lake, if you touch that let's say ice, what happens? You will feel cool. Why you will feel cool? Because like heat from your hand or from your fingers will pass on to that, let's say like to that ice. So you feel colder. I mean like lake feels to be colder than the surrounding air. Okay. For this reason itself, a frozen lake feels colder to touch than the surrounding air on the winter day. You are on a winter day, whatever is the temperature, if lake is frozen, if you touch, like that will feel cooler as compared to surrounding air. This is, let's say, observed. Second, ice is a poor conductor of heat. Okay, ice is a poor conductor of heat. Okay, although ice conducts heat, but it is poor conductor of heat. Okay, ice, like when heat is transferred into it, so like ice will get melted because it will absorb, not transfer the heat much. Okay, this is the thing. So second statement is also right. However, the second statement does not have any direct relation with the first statement. Okay, first statement and second statement are correct, right, but like they do not have any direct relation. So correct answer would be option B. Option B will be the right answer in this case. Now let us move to question number 49. Okay, let us discuss about this question. It says, consider the following statements. They have given two statements. This is based on color blindness. Color blindness is more common in females than in males. Statement 1 is incorrect. Color blindness is a recessive disorder that happens due to defects in genes found in X chromosomes. This statement is right. Okay, what happens over here? Let us understand about it. Color blindness, basically like all human beings like me, you, majority of us can see different colors. Why we can see different colors? Because let's say inside our eye we have, let's say like cells in the eye, and those cells are cone shaped cells. They are red in color, they are let's say green in color, and these cone shaped cells helps us to distinguish between different colors. Okay, different colors. So color blindness generally happens to human beings. Okay, it happens. But the thing is like whether color blindness is more common in females than in males. To understand this thing, we need to understand that color blindness is associated with X chromosomes. Okay, it is associated with X chromosomes. And as we know, X and Y chromosomes are there in human beings. So XX and XY. Okay. So whenever we have XY, it is male, XX, it is, let's say, female, like that. So generally what happens, if you have, in case of, if I talk about males, okay, if I talk about males, so they have X and Y chromosomes. In case of females, right, in case of females, they have XX chromosomes. So let us understand that like, these cone shaped cells in our eye, right, they are defective. So maybe in one of the chromosome it is defective in female, but in the other chromosome it is not defective. So the cell that is where it is not defective, it will compensate for the defective one, right? So they will have lesser occurrences of color blindness as compared to males. Males, if in X chromosome there is a defect, let's say like associated with cone shaped cells, so in that case what will happen? In that case, what will happen? I mean, like, it will be reflected. It will be, let's say, like, visible in the human eyes, means like, it will be like it will be shown that way. So color blindness is more common in males than in females. Okay, so that's why statement 1 is incorrect. So it should be other way around. Second, it says it is a recessive disorder that happens due to defects in the genes found in X chromosomes. Okay, so this is the thing. So statement 1 is incorrect, statement 2 is correct. Correct answer is option D in this case. Now let us move to another question. This is going to be the, let's say, like 10th question from Science and Technology, 50th question in the paper. So it says, with reference to cellular respiration, consider the following statement. So this question is from biology, basic biology. Okay, so like if you have studied about plant biology, if you have studied about, let's say, photosynthesis, respiration, and generally in plant cells, you will be able to answer this question. So basically here they have given 3 statements. Number 1, it converts glucose into more complex carbohydrates. Okay, glucose into more complex carbohydrates. This statement is wrong. So in case of cellular respiration, it converts glucose into simpler molecules, not complex molecules, okay, into simpler, let's say, like into simpler molecules. In fact, what happens, one of the byproduct is water. Second, it says it primarily occurs in the chloroplast of plants. Okay, chloroplast is associated with photosynthesis. What? Chloroplast is associated with photosynthesis, not cellular respiration. Remember, like when we talk about photosynthesis, sunlight is taken, chloroplast is used, then they take the, let's say, water from the ground and they convert that sun energy into food and all. So that is photosynthesis, not chloroplast. So the cellular respiration generally happens in mitochondria, right? Mitochondria is also known as powerhouse of the cell. Okay, it is known as powerhouse of the cell. Here cellular respiration happens, let's say, energy is generated in the form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP, etc. Now, release of water is one of the end product. Okay, release of water is one of the end product. Third statement is right. So how many statements are right? Only one. Okay, correct answer is option A, right? So many of the questions are basic questions, term based questions, but some of the questions require you to prepare current affairs also, read newspapers as well. If you come across a new terminology which is new to you, right, read about it, try to learn about it, so that will help you to solve questions like this. Okay, so that will be all from the science and technology section, right? Other faculties are going to take their respective discussions also, so you can watch that discussion. Thank you so much everyone for attending this part of the discussion for Panchsutra Test 5. Thank you.